Yes, it has. How long has it been? Like 2 weeks, maybe more?
I
Three,
think
four?
more. I think more.
Actually, I think the last time we recorded was July 7th.
A
So
long time.
3 weeks and like 2 days.
A long time ago.
Yeah,
How's it
2 weeks
going?
and a couple of days. It's all right. Uh,
Hmm.
I've just been not gaming that much,
Sure.
unfortunately. I haven't. Yourself?
That's not. It's not the end of the world, right? We like I
I
always
guess
say.
not. No,
Nice
I feel like we
break.
do go through sort of like phases, don't we?
Totally.
I mean, it all kind of works with release of games, doesn't it?
Yeah, hundred
I mean,
percent.
like I said last time, I think I'm just waiting for Starfield to be released at this point. Although we have got Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming to Game Pass in August, which I kind of want to try out. And then we've also got Liza P in August as well. So hopefully I'll be playing those. Did you forget about those?
No, I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I thought, oh, that's cool. Can try that
Mm.
out. It has a perfect Game Pass game in it. I would never buy that, but I'd definitely play it and try it
Mm-hmm.
out. Liza P, I think I told you, I'm not sold on it personally, but I'm interested to see
Well,
what
we'll
you
see,
think.
won't we? I mean, the demo
Yeah,
came out. I haven't played the demo, but I watched Max play it, and it seemed interesting. So
it stinks to me of a Steel Rising. Not, I know it's
yeah, no, I know
slightly
what you mean. I feel
different,
like
but
it's the in between Still Rising and a Dark Souls game. Like it's sort of like a higher budget
sure.
Still
Mm.
Rising. I mean, is it Themyscira or whatever it's called? Was a similar type of game as well.
Themyscira?
Yeah, something like that. Something Themyscira or something. I don't know. I can't remember the name. It came out just before Still Rising, and it's very similar. Just sort of Souls like, but with a lower budget.
Oh, I'm sure I'd recognise
Themyscira.
it if I saw some pictures, but
Yeah, probably,
also, Jay, I can
probably.
barely see ya.
Well, hang on. Let me open the curtain or something. Hang on.
You don't have to, but
Oh no, I just don't want to turn my light on because
energy.
electricity and all.
Yeah,
Hang on.
you're
Give me a
funny.
sec.
You are funny. Light is free during the day, at least.
Yeah, just about.
Jay, do you ever think that it's so weird how our world works? Like light during the
Yes.
day, night during nighttime. You know what I
If you
mean?
think
Like
about
that's
it too long, it scares the shit out of me. Let's just put it that way.
how come?
Well, if I think about anything too long, it scares the shit out of me. Because it's just like, how the fuck does it all work,
Yeah, I know. I know.
Like, how is it we get to exist in this particular time frame or whatever?
Totally. Totally.
How's that? Can you see me a bit better now?
Yeah, man. Looks good.
I might have to just rearrange my laptop because it's doing some funny things. Hang on.
I don't wanna rearrange. Would you say you're a clean freak, Jay?
A clean freak.
Yeah. You like things
Um,
tidy, in order, straight, square.
in a way, not to like that big of an extent. I like cleanliness, or I like hygiene more than I like cleanliness. But I feel like hygiene is a type of cleanliness. I don't know.
Sure. Like personal hygiene, like smell. Like I
Yeah,
know you don't like
personal.
smells.
I'm funny about like greasy things or smells and stuff like that. So
I can appreciate the greasy thing though, because I washed up some trays full of fat the other day, and sorry, the other day, this morning, and like no matter how much soap you put on it and how much you wash it, it's still kind of there. You know what I mean? You almost need to
yeah,
like get a piece of
I
tissue and
agree.
wipe it away. So
I agree.
all
Yeah,
right,
I
well,
don't touch any of that kind of stuff. That is not my bag, baby.
no, fair enough, fair enough. Well,
Although
that's
I do get
oh
pretty dirty at work, to be honest. I have to work with a lot of like hydraulic fluid and grease and oil and shit, but I tend to wear gloves, so it doesn't impact me that much.
I assume the oil thing is because obviously you can't just wipe it off, right? It's because water.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sticks. It stays
yeah,
for days.
yeah, totally,
Doesn't go
totally.
away.
All right, dude, we got a lot to talk about. Quite exciting,
Hmm.
actually. We've got a lot. Yeah. So let's just
Okay.
dive right in to the games, to the real deal. First up, Jay. Oh, he's putting some more stuff on here. Hold on. What's he doing?
It'll become evident.
Okay. All right. Just a quick one before we
Jesus
dive in,
Christ.
Jay. Have you been following what I've been playing?
Somewhat. Probably not on PlayStation as much.
Okay. So you've been on Xbox more yourself, or
I was on it briefly. I've kind of been on neither. I'm kind of playing Pokemon a little bit at the minute.
yes? Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, I guess so. Every so often, I'll just sort of like get in the mood for Pokemon. I don't know why, but again, I was talking to you a minute ago about like I have to forget a movie or a TV show for me to have to rewatch it again, and I kind of do that with games as well. Like there'll be some games that I can replay. Pokemon's probably one of the most replayable games ever, and I kind of have to forget the feeling of what it's like to play a Pokemon game to then want to play it again. So I do that every so often. I'll be like, oh, I'll just play, you know, one playthrough of a Pokemon game, and then I'll be done with it for the rest of the year or something. I'll come back next year and do it again.
Don't you find though? What? There's a couple of things though. Obviously, they come out in twos, right? So I feel like you could always play the other one if you want a slightly
That's
different
kind of my
vibe.
thing. Yeah, I tend to buy
Yeah.
both, either right away or later, and I'll just sort of play through them again. But with because obviously Pokemon games have some Pokemon in one version and not in another. There's like differences of which ones you can get. So
Mm.
I'll have to try out the other ones or whatever it might be.
Do you not also find that? I find, Jay, that my memory of games, without blowing up my own trumpet, is quite good. In that, if I've played a game to completion, I can probably remember quite a lot of it. I
Yeah, I'm
suppose.
like that with most games, I'd say.
Yeah, so I feel like I get what you mean about forget. I mean, dude, I could not bring myself to rewatch a TV show unless I literally haven't watched it in like 10 years, probably.
Yeah, yeah. TV shows are a bit different. I'm trying to think.
'Cause
The
it's
only
so
TV
long.
show that I've thought recently about watching again was Big Bang.
The whole
Just because
thing.
it's yeah, just because it's been. I feel like, I mean, that's been out at least 10 years.
Isn't
It's
it
got
finished?
12
But 10 years ago.
series. Yeah, it finished in 2017, 2018.
Okay.
So it's actually technically been out. I think like 14, 15 years at this point.
And is Young Sheldon proving to be quite a popular little prequel thing?
It certainly is, and that's kind of what got me back in the mood. I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind going back and watching it, but it's a kind of a bit of a dated thing now. It's kind of hard to watch unless you've watched it, or unless you've never watched it before.
Uh, to be fair though, it is a sitcom, so I feel like it's easier to watch as well.
I don't
I
know.
find it easier to get
Sitcoms
home
kind
from
of get on my
work and
tits a
whack
little bit.
on.
Like the style of comedy can be a bit grating sometimes. Like
I think.
to me, Big Bang is really awkward to watch.
Oh yeah, but don't.
There's a lot of
But
things
some
that
people
happen that I'm
like
just like,
that,
oh, that's so cringy.
like The Office,
Yeah,
Peep Show. They're
American
quite
comedy has got a
awkward.
very weird style to it sometimes. Same with some British comedy as well. I just that awkwardness sometimes can be good. Other times it can rub me the wrong way. So
I feel like Big Bang though. I tried watching it for the first time, like I want to say a year ago, and I
sure.
was a bit like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
know,
lot
man.
harder. I feel like it was definitely a product of its time. Like if you watched it when it first came out and then you progressively watched it every year when it also released, it made more sense.
So do you think it's actually funny?
I wouldn't say funny. I'd actually watch it more for the emotional storytelling of it, or like the
Okay,
actual humanness of it behind all the sheet of the veil of comedy or whatever.
sure,
I
sure.
feel like it's just one massive pain bag that's held in a sheet of comedy.
What about How I
Much
Met Your
like
Mother?
most comedic things. Most comedic things are dark behind the door or whatever.
Sure. What about How I Met Your Mother? How do you feel about that?
It's funny you say that. Yeah, I absolutely love that show, and I'm currently in the process of beginning to watch the second series of How I Met Your Father because the first series is pretty good.
I've watched both series of that, Jay, and I think it's really good.
Yeah, I'm about to begin the second series. Wasn't the first series only like 6 episodes long or something?
10.
10. Yeah, it was like a pilot thing basically, wasn't it? It was to see whether it was
Yeah.
actually going to be any good. And then the second series I think is 20, 22 episodes, something like that.
No, 12, I think.
No, definitely 20.
Okay. Let's have a look.
I'm
Yeah, it's on
curious
Disney
now.
Plus, right? I'll have a quick look.
Yeah.
I've got the mobile app. While we do that, do you want to talk about the films you've watched, or not really? No, you don't. I can tell.
Give me a minute. I mean, I was gonna go watch Oppenheimer yesterday, but then decided not to because
I'll probably do a
cinema
day
was
off.
too full.
I'll book a day off if you wanted to go see it.
Yeah, it has to be
Quiet.
middle of the week. It can't be on a Saturday, and it can't be when the kids are all off from school. That was my mistake. But instead of doing that, I rewatched the whole quadrilogy of Hunger Games instead.
What the fuck, Jay?
20 episodes, right?
I swear to you, they must have released that in 2 parts.
They did. I know they did.
Well, why didn't you just
They released
say
the
that
first 10,
rather
then
than
they did
us
the
do
second
it?
10.
Why? Okay, brilliant.
I
Why
know
didn't
they
you
did
just say
because
that
I
then?
follow Hilary Duff on socials, so I see her talking about it all the time.
Is that recent they released the second half?
Yeah, I think so. I think they released second half in July, which is this month.
Oh, well, I'll watch that at some point then. Sweet, cool.
Yeah, you didn't realize you got more to watch. Love it.
Yeah,
Bonus.
always more to watch. Yeah, great.
Bonus.
Nah, yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. All right, well, let's dive
Tell you
into
what,
the.
rewatching Hunger
Oh,
Games is totally that those movies hold up hard,
do they?
like super hard. Yeah, they really do.
I didn't even
But
bother with the last one. I didn't
it
really like
actually
part one
made
either.
me. It kind of made me want to readjust my score on Letterbox, so I'm going to.
Catching Fire is the best one, right? We agree.
That second one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Second one probably is the best one. Yeah.
good man. I didn't really like Mockingjay Part One, so I didn't even bother with the last part.
You telling me you haven't seen the ending?
No,
Oh, dude, get on it. Trust me. Trust. I.
I'm
How
not a
can you?
teenage girl anymore, Jay.
That's not. That's not. Nope. That's not warranted. Let's put it this way.
Okay,
You know how like there's like actors in movies that you like can turn out when they're older or whatever to like be politically minded a certain way.
sure, yeah.
Like I feel like it's a little bit like that with like Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. They've said about their the way they think about certain things, and then the same with Jennifer Lawrence. I think she sort of leans a bit. She's a bit more quiet about it now.
Isn't every
Um,
actor leaning towards the
yeah.
left though, Jay? Like, I'm not being
No, it's
funny,
not even
but
that. It's just the way they go about talking about it. What I'm saying is, I tend to overlook that because of the movies they are in. One of those being Hunger Games for Jennifer Lawrence.
I didn't realize Jennifer
Actually,
Lawrence was that strong.
I didn't realize
On
my rating was so high on Hunger Games on here.
what have you put
But
it at?
it's warranted 4.5 on all of them. I think.
Oh, Jay, come on.
No, honestly, to me they're the best, and I'm looking forward to the prequel. The prequel comes out this year.
You're crazy, dude.
No, it's gonna be awesome. I
I
can't wait.
can't believe
Although
they're
the actress
making
who's in it,
that.
I'm not a massive fan of. So
I can't believe they're making that as a film. I literally saw the poster and I was like, what?
it's for the 50th Hunger Games, so it's like 25 years before this, I think. Although
Okay,
it should be more than that because it's when Snow was younger, a lot younger,
got you.
like how he came to be in power or whatever.
Don't tell me it's going to be like a new trilogy. Please don't tell me it's going to be a new trilogy.
I doubt it. Although it would be cool if it was.
Would it? Would it?
Yeah, I like Hunger Games. Hunger Games are good.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
let's dive in, Jay, to the games, the actual
the
things
games.
that people might be
Although at the
listening
minute I
to
care a lot more
about
about
us.
movies at the minute, but here we go.
That's fine. Well, we'll still discuss games a
That's just
little
where
bit.
I'm at. Although, games are coming back. They're coming back.
One Piece.
One Piece. Yeah. So I. It took me forever to like make my way through the anime, so I was getting fed up. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll read the manga instead."
Mm.
So in the last 2 weeks, I've read like 600 chapters of the manga. So I
Is
went from
that
chapter 200 to 800.
is one chapter like a book?
One chapter's 20 pages, so I read about 12,000 pages.
So like, wouldn't that be like a traditional comic, about 20 pages?
Yes, so
Okay.
not that long. Yeah, you're talking like anywhere from 7 to 13 minutes per chapter.
Okay.
So it wasn't any quicker than 7 minutes, and it wasn't any slower than about 13, 15. So
Okay. So is that
So yeah, I
Have
did
you
that
enjoyed it?
all day, every day for about 2 weeks, and I read about 600 chapters. And the reason why I read that far was because the games that are One Piece games on Xbox that I have bought um, are currently they're like set around that time in the manga. So I didn't want to I didn't want any spoilers.
And
Basically,
did you enjoy it? Is it good?
well, I started playing the games, but then I found myself not in the mood of playing them, so I've sort of stopped, and I'll
Oh,
come
sorry,
back
I
to it
meant as in
eventually.
the manga. Was the manga good?
Yeah, manga's phenomenal. But I'm that's the thing. The manga company has I think almost 1100 chapters, so I'm only about 250 chapters behind where they currently are. And like I said, I can read that in about a week. So
So it sounds like you'll probably catch up to the manga and then leave the TV show for a bit, or
no, I'm just not bothering with the anime. Anime's not even worth watching at this point.
just not good
To
enough,
be honest, the
basically.
animation isn't actually any good until like maybe the recent 60 episodes anyway. So
What is in the
I'll
style of
probably start watching
animation?
it after like episode like 950 or something.
As in the style of animation.
No, just as in like the animation fight scenes just weren't really any good until recently. They
Okay.
started to make them like really like God, it's kind of hard to explain. Unless you're like an anime fan, you probably don't really even understand. Like
Teenage schoolgirl.
there's
Yeah,
there's
sure.
certain amounts of like animation effort that goes into making fight scenes look amazing. There's like a lot of like words that go into knowing about the stuff of it, and it takes a lot longer to make those episodes when you go more effort into that, which means a lot more money has to be spent to make them look that good. And that's what's happening with One Piece at the minute, is that more money and more time is being put into the anime.
But to
So
be
they
fair, there's
look
so much of
fucking
it. How could
amazing.
you possibly like? It would be such a sink of finances to. Do you know what I mean? Like, just
Well,
continue.
One Piece is. I actually think One Piece is the best selling anime in Japan. Anime and manga.
Isn't that kind of
More
cheating though?
than
Because there's
Dragon
so many
Ball, more
episodes.
than everything.
Like,
Huh?
well, there's so
No, it's
many
just because it's been
episodes.
around for so long and it's just so popular. It's
Okay,
been around since
right.
'97, I want to say. Actually, no, I think it was
That's a
before that. I
long
think the
time.
manga was '95, but the anime was '97.
So tell us about these games then.
Yeah, so World Seeker has been out for a while. Isn't that good of a game, but I'll get around to it eventually. It's just more of the fact that it is the IP of One Piece that interested me. The
Sure.
combat is a bit lacking, but the one that interested me the most was Odyssey. Odyssey is a turn-based One Piece game, so I'm looking forward to actually being in the mood to play it, because I started playing and I was like, ah, crap, I'm not in the mood for it anymore. Which kind of annoyed me.
That,
Like that happens so often to me, where like I'll literally do something to prepare for playing a game, and then the second I start playing it, I'm like, oh, I'm not even in the mood.
but that's surprising considering you're doing the manga, I suppose, or reading the manga. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've been preparing by reading the manga for a while now, but
Mm.
just wasn't
Well,
in the mood.
that's
I was more in the mood to read it than I was to play it. So,
yeah, fair
but
enough.
that's just where I'm at. My brain is a bit fried from I don't know. I'm just not in the mood to play games at the minute.
Which is cool.
Really, kind of am, kind of aren't. Hard to explain.
So one game that's one of the biggest games of the years, Jay, that's launched obviously fairly recently that we knew you were
Mhm.
taking time off for. Massive
Yeah.
franchise, Final Fantasy 16. So you
Yes.
bought it brand new. You had a week. Was it a week
Did day
off or two
one.
weeks off?
I had well, it was like 11 days because it was that time where the king's coronation was happening.
Yeah,
So there was like two bank holidays in a row.
yeah.
So I had like 2 Mondays off plus the rest of the week and the 2 weekends. So came to about
Lush.
10 or 11 days.
Nice.
Mm.
So did you finish platinum the game within those 11 days?
I did. I think I did it in a week exactly.
Not bad. Not bad for
I
the
think I started
Goldilocks.
playing. Well, it's weird, funny because I didn't. I was off from the weekend until the 2 weekends after, but I actually started playing it when it came out, which was a Thursday. So I played it Thursday night, Friday night, and then all the rest of the 5 days after that. So technically, it only took me 5.5 days, roughly, because obviously I only played it for about 3 hours a night on the Thursday and the Friday.
Okay. And how many
So
hours did you put in?
75 on the dot,
Nice.
which is
Okay.
actually not bad. That's about right. Like I feel like if it was 100 hours, it probably would have been
Bit.
better.
Oh.
Any more than that, I probably would have been like, oh, this is getting on a bit.
But why would it be
So it kind of
better
felt
on
about
like
right.
if it was drawn out longer? If you know what I
I
mean.
like let's put it this way: my perfect RPG is turn-based and almost exactly 100 hours. That's just like that's the Goldilocks sweet spot for me.
Okay, fair
Anything
enough.
more than 100 is a bit slow. Anything less than that is a bit disappointing.
Okay. So I know me and you spoke about 16, right? I was obviously curious to get your initial impressions on it.
Yeah,
Massive game.
I'm still like on the fence. I don't know if it's good.
Well, just
It's
before we,
really hard to explain that. I mean, it's kind of its own thing. Like you kind of almost can't put it with the rest of Final Fantasy. It's kind of like its own thing.
one of
It's
the
really hard to
things
explain.
I was just before you go into it, Jay.
Mm,
It's weird for me, who's a big fan of Final Fantasy but not played it yet, because
mm.
a lot of reviewers have given it really high scores, but I have had
Yeah,
mixed
either nines or
things.
tens. Yeah.
So when I rang you, because like, look, let's be frank, guys. Jay likes the games he plays. You know this. So like, Jay likes Avengers when he's playing through Avengers. On reflection, does he like it as much as he did? I don't know, but he likes the games he's playing at the moment. Usually, they have to be pretty bad
Yeah,
for him not to like it. It's like Redfall, for
that's true.
instance, right?
Like I can platinum a game, but if if it's a bad game, I probably won't even go that far.
Sure. So
So
when you were
obviously it's a
like,
good game because I've platinumed it, right? So
sure, but
that's
then at
my
the same time, I expected you
meter.
to be head over heels with it, and you weren't.
I kind of am, but in like a not the usual. Let's put it this way: if Final Fantasy 15 was released at the same time Final Fantasy 16 was, I'd feel the same about them both. Probably.
So you think
I
it's a
don't think I'd.
timing
I
issue?
wouldn't. It's massively a timing thing. Yeah,
What do you,
I think it's a mixture of timing and just the amount of how different it is. Like I remember even speaking to you. Like when I first played 15, I hated it. Like this was back when it came out, like 2016 or whenever.
Sure, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
hated it. Like I was like, oh god, this is not even close to what I wanted it to be. And then I came back to it 4 years later, and it's like one of my favorite Final Fantasies now, right?
Sure.
So I feel like I probably would have preferred to have. Well, I genuinely don't think if I'd played this 4 years from now, I probably would have thought the exact same thing about it. That's what annoys me about it. It doesn't feel like it is just the same as the others. It's different, and not necessarily. I mean, I think it's more just so that I'm nervous, anxious, and cautious about the future of Final Fantasy from this point on. After 15, I felt the same way. I was like, oh crap, what's the next one going to be? Like, I really hope the next one isn't anything like this, or at least somewhat like this, but not too much further that direction. I kind of want to go back the other direction. Um, but it seems to have completely gone the other direction where I was hoping it wasn't going to go.
Okay,
And I'm just now even more fearful as to what 17 is going to be like.
but
I'm like, oh god.
that's understandable, but that's not necessarily that's not tied to how is the game here and now. It sounds like
No,
you
that's
went in
true.
with quite high expectations.
No, I did. Weirdly, I actually went in with pretty low ones.
Okay.
I think it was more of like a hindsight expectation of higher. I probably will look back on it and go, actually, it's really hard to like articulate, but I
What
feel like
about
it probably is probably the best looking Final Fantasy graphically,
nice,
100%.
nice. Okay.
Um, Combat wise, actually pretty decent, but it's funny because there's a lot to it, but it feels
Shallow.
not as strategic. Yeah, it feels fairly shallow. Doesn't feel as strategic. It just feels a bit button mashy,
Okay, but it's not button
which
mashy. But that's
it
how it
feels more
feels.
like a because people are complaining, RPG. Like it definitely is still an RPG, but it's more of an action game than it is an RPG. It
But
basically, like, let's say Final Fantasy game is made up of the traditional amount of what you'd imagine an RPG is.
sure.
If you take away like the majority of those RPG elements and really, really get them down to their minimum basic level of what they are, and then sort of completely scrap everything about the complexity and the having to decide what to wear and resistances and all that kind of stuff, and then like bare bones minimum, you just get a piece of loot every so often, and it makes you slightly better than you were 5 minutes ago, and that just happens every hour or so or whatever. Um, but then you add an action combat system where you sort of there definitely can be like a skill to it, but you don't really have like it kind of feels a bit too much of an effort to do that. If that makes sense. So I just found myself almost like, drudging along almost. Like I think the story carries that game hard.
In a good way?
Yeah, I'd say in a good way. I cared more about the story than I did the combat, which feels a bit weird to me because I feel like Final Fantasy has almost always been a good balance of both.
Yeah, sure.
I think the combat is good and flashy, and there's a lot more cinematic elements to it, but it didn't really feel very engaging, as engaging or as strategic or as I just there's something about turn based that makes you feel like you've I don't know, like you're more in control. I guess I don't know, or like it just feels like more role play. If I'm playing an action game, I don't really feel like I'm role playing. If that makes sense. Like if I'm playing like a hack and slash, almost like a God of War type thing, like the old God of War, or even like a what's a hack like a Dark Side, is that what
Bayonetta?
it's called, or
Oh,
or a
Darksiders.
Bayonetta or anything like that.
I
Like I don't
get
really
what
feel
you
like I'm
mean.
role
Like, there's not
playing.
as
I just
many
kind of feel like
decisions
I'm
about
playing as
like
this character to live in this world and slash my way through it. Get to the end.
rather than like I'm picking what I'm wearing, blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
rather than
Like,
sort of almost feeling like I'm becoming the character. I guess.
sure.
Like it really felt really weird. I'm so curious to see what you say if you ever play it.
I will play it. I will definitely play it.
Okay, good.
But your your opinion of it is maybe not want to buy it until it's on sale. If I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I think that is. I 100% agree. This game is definitely an on sale, which I hate saying that about a Final Fantasy game. Bugs the hell out of me
Well, it looks
saying
like
it.
it sold well, so that's good for the
Yeah,
franchise.
10 million
Already,
unit, 10 million play. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
you
10
can't be
million.
serious for a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, it sold better than 15 did, and that was on both consoles.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
I've only
it
got
is.
3 million.
It's the second best selling Final Fantasy game in history. I'm pretty sure. The first being for 7 remake.
I've only
I
got
think it sold
3 million
21.
copies.
Where am I getting 10 million from?
I know 15 eventually sold at nearly 10, I think.
I might be getting that number from somewhere else. But even so,
Even so,
whatever the number is, it's higher than previous titles,
sure,
and a
sure.
lot of the previous titles were multi-platform. So that just goes to show.
So a few questions around that then. By the way, Joe, I think I might be lagging a bit, so just bear
You are,
with me
but
as
it doesn't matter.
my laptop's. I've barely got anything open these days, and it just can't even cope. I can barely cope with a YouTube video now.
Yeah, me
I've
too.
got a few notes down here. So I get
Please.
what your concerns are about the action side of things. But obviously, one of the main critiques of 15 was that it was more an action RPG, or at least action RPG
Yeah.
orientated. I don't think that was as much of an issue for you, because it sounds like what you're saying is that it's even more
I feel
action
like 15
orientated.
and 16 are the same in terms of the story definitely carries the game more than the combat does. But the combat
Sure,
felt better in 15 than it does in 16.
sure. So, what about the argument then that it's not a great argument, but the argument being, well, Jay, you've got Dragon Quest 11, you've got Persona 5, and you'll have Octopath Traveler 2, or whatever you
And
want to
One
say
Piece
as these.
Odyssey now as well.
Whatever you want to say as a turn-based RPG, if you've always got those options to hand, and those options are pretty good, and they are, why do you need a turn-based Final Fantasy? I
Yeah, I
suppose.
know. I know. It's tough. I feel like it's just that sort of like old head in me of like Final Fantasy's always been the same way for me, so I don't really want to change it. But it's obviously not up to me. It's up to the people who make it. I think the thing I'm more annoyed about, which I'm but happy about because obviously I'm happy that Final Fantasy and the team are making money, is that these action games were deliberately made this way to make more money.
Mm,
They knew that the previous Final Fantasies didn't sell as well as they'd liked, and Japan being Japan, they want to improve every time they make something new. They're all about growth and more money and more sales, right? And I think from 15, um, they garnered that maybe they could tweak it more so that they could get to a wider audience. I think was the whole thing. I mean, I spoke to you about this before about how Yoshi P, the director of this, was basically saying, he took weirdly some level of inspiration from like Fortnite and Call of Duty, in that
Yeah,
he knew
yeah,
that he knew that those games did well, so he basically wanted to appeal to that audience, which to me isn't Final Fantasy audience at all. Like there's
sure.
obviously a crossover, but it's minimal, I imagine. But there's obviously enough of a crossover that the game sold well enough this time that I can almost guarantee you that every Final Fantasy from this point will be similar to this one, and it'll probably sell the same, if not better than this one.
But I
But
guess they could always do spin-offs like Persona, literally just like Persona, where they go,
yeah,
okay, well, we'll make a tactics game, we'll
it's
make
just
a
that classic thing, right? Of like, you ask anyone who's older in your family, you know, what what
mm,
what did you prefer, living in your time period or this one? They're probably almost always going to say theirs, because to them that was like the best of times.
mm,
And I feel like we are currently going through that. I mean, I'm going through it fucking daily, where I'm looking at things and I'm going, oh, we're not the ones who are being catered to anymore. It's the younger generation, and the younger generation isn't being catered to the same way we were when we were that age, which tends to mean that things are changing enough that you know it's not to our liking as much. Some people's liking, some others, So we're sort of being forgotten about, but not at the same time.
I I
They're just sort
agree
of
with
crossing their fingers, hoping that they can keep enough of their audience around, the older audience, that they'll still make enough money.
I agree with you to some extent about the younger
Bottom
audience
dollar, dude. It's all about the bottom dollar.
being catered to, but
Yeah,
at the same time, we're still getting some games come through like God of War, for instance, 50-hour single player game. And I
yeah,
know that we can handpick what those games look like, and they're pretty much all PlayStation exclusive. So I'm not saying they're in as much volume as they were when we were younger. But at the same time, you say that, Jay, but 15 is one of your favorite Final Fantasies anyway,
yeah.
as is
It is.
13. And some
Yeah,
people might say, well,
13 is the
13's not
greatest for
my
me.
Final Fantasy, hashtag not my
It's
Final
not, no.
Fantasy, you
For
know?
a lot of people, it's like 8 or 6 or 3
Sure,
or 7 or 11 or 12 or 10. It's whatever,
100%.
Um,
So uh, it, I'm curious to see how much
let's
of
put it
this
this way.
is.
If you liked God of War, you'll love this Final Fantasy. Let's put it that way. And I didn't like God of War.
I mean, you're the
I'm
only
not a
human
fan of
being
it.
in the world who didn't like God. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, probably. It
Um,
just this. I don't know. It didn't
no,
fit.
you
It
say
didn't.
that though, Jay, but like, when I jump into a Final Fantasy game, I have expectations around how much of an RPG it is and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not necessarily looking for it. Oh, FF16, that's going to be exactly like God of War. I'm not necessarily looking for that.
No, but I think Square Enix looked at that and went, "Oh, should we just do that?" and put a Final Fantasy stamp on it.
I mean, that would tie in with timelines, right?
Yeah.
2018 for the first God of War.
Did I mention that this game is basically just Game of Thrones, the story of Game of Thrones?
No.
Yeah, that's what this is.
I liked the fact they were taking British and Western ideals for this game, but what you're telling me, Jay, is that it sounds like they've basically looked at popular Western IPs and gone, we'll just take that.
I think you figured it out.
But
I
Jay, I
figured it
don't want
out.
that from a Japanese RPG.
Neither do I, mate. Neither do I. But that's what happens when the Western world invades the Eastern. It fucking ruins it.
And I
Ruins
guess
it
your
hard.
concern now is that is this going to leak into other properties, perhaps, or other Japanese
Oh, it
culture,
already
perhaps?
has. The virus is already there, but I don't know if it's going to go away.
Mm.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's a shame, but I think objectively the game is amazing. It really is. Like I cannot wait to see what you think of it.
Okay.
I'm so curious. I feel like whenever I play anything now, I'm like, oh, I wonder what. Like even when I'm playing, I'm like, oh, I wonder what Nick will think of that. I'm just so curious about your opinion. I care what you say about certain things. So
I appreciate that. Well, I will
yeah.
definitely play it. And obviously
And
we'll talk
again,
about it
don't let me
extensively.
sway you in any way, because while we do agree on a lot of things, we also disagree on a lot of things.
True. Yeah, true. True.
So
But
that's human nature,
interestingly,
baby.
we there's been multiple times where I've thought you're on crack, and you've been very right. So
Yeah, I know, I know. There's also probably been times where the opposite, and same for me to you. So
but yeah,
that's
I
just the
mean,
way the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
right? Jay telling me, "Oh, you should play Final Fantasy 15," and I'm thinking, "Yeah, right." But
You should
anyway,
play Dark Souls.
yeah, you love Dark. Fuck off.
You should play Bloodborne.
How was the? I think we should do an FF16 special when I get around to playing it because it's a massive
Yeah,
game.
yeah. I think when you play it, when you've platinumed it, because you will, it's pretty easy to do.
Good. Glad
I
to
think my
hear.
only other gripe with it is that it wasn't a full Final Fantasy game. It was just half of a Final Fantasy game.
In terms of length, right?
Yeah, because so technically I've spent 75 hours playing it, but the actual campaign and me doing everything, I did in about half the time. The only reason I spent twice as long on it is because I had to do New Game Plus to get the platinum. So
Did you find many benefits for going through the story again? Whether it be look at cool cutscenes
um,
or
no,
gameplay
I
or
skipped every cutscene
fair.
to get through it quicker. If I hadn't, it probably would have took me at least another 5 hours probably.
But you didn't.
I will say this game is very cutscene heavy as well.
I don't mind that.
A lot of cutscenes.
Okay.
Like more than like I was. Let's put it
You
this way. I
want.
think my hands were off the controller more than they were on it. Probably.
Okay. Hmm.
Probably equal. I don't know. At least it felt that way. That's probably I'm probably over exaggerating, but I think that was another gripe that a lot of people had was I think I was actually my controller was probably like over there most of the time.
It's such an interesting point that I want to talk about so much more, but I can't right now. But
Why? Go on.
well, just like you say, like that's been one of my experiences with a game I've recently played,
Oh, go on. Which
and
one?
God of War Ragnarok.
Oh, I thought you'd already played that.
No, no,
So you hadn't got around to it. I just assumed that you got it day one.
no,
I don't know
not at
why
all.
I assumed that.
No, no, I borrowed it off L.
Well, you kind of get my reasoning as to why I think the Eastern world is looking over to the Western and being like, what are they getting right? Let's just do what they do.
But well, interestingly enough, Jay, on the cinematics front, it's conflicted because every so often, Jay, I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up God of War 2018, all bolder cutscenes because I adore the performance for that character and I love those cutscenes. But that
Mm.
doesn't mean that you need twice as many of them in the sequel. Does that make sense?
No, you need a balance. Everything's about balance.
Exactly. So I'm conflicted with cinematics, and I think Dark Souls, because of its old school sensibilities, it does that really cool thing where it's only got 2 or 3 cutscenes. Well, at least the
Mm.
old games do, and I'm sure Jay. Like, oh, I remember when games used to be excited for a cutscene, and I feel like that's one of the only games where you're excited for a
Yeah, too
cutscene.
much. Everything in moderation. Well, I mean, I say that way too often.
No,
But
but
it's
it's
so
true.
true.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's annoyingly true. Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
no, 100%. So there's a lot to discuss there. But in terms of your platinum journey, then did you? I mean,
Mm.
New Game Plus aside, I suppose you did you enjoy the journey of the platinum?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was probably. I think the majority of my enjoyment was coming out of me knowing I was going to be able to do the platinum. Like it was like, oh, I can actually platinum a Final Fantasy, and not have to worry about grinding for 50 hours or whatever it is. Like, I like doing that sometimes, but it just depends. Like there's like a fine line between grinding a decent amount and then like too much.
Yeah,
That
totally.
was that was probably my one gripe with 13 is I had to grind for quite a while. But
And I think
yeah,
15's platinum's pretty good too, actually, for what it's worth.
yeah. I think overall Final Fantasy just seems to be getting easier because
Mm,
again, it's all about getting the audience who are a bit more casual in, so they can make more money. It's all about that casual audience, bottom dollar. It's all about the bottom dollar.
But Jay, let's look at the balance, right? Like you say, we wouldn't have, in my opinion, we wouldn't have Elden Ring selling as many copies if the industry was flooded with games that we both love. I think
Hmm.
that people are yearning for a game like that because they're not as often about.
Yeah,
You
if
know what I'm
there's a
saying?
if there's a hole in the market, you fill it, and then you make a lot of money. It's literally that's any market that is lacking in a particular area. If you can be the only and first people to do it, you're going to be the ones making the money. That's basically what the whole industry is about. It's just being the first one to the punch.
But I think as well, as you know how much I love 7 Remake, for me
Mm.
personally, that was the perfect balance of let's call it action RPG mixed with a
That's what a lot of
Japanese.
people were hoping 16 was going to be. It was just going to be
Yeah,
taking the combat from
7 Remake.
7 Remake and putting it in a Final Fantasy game. And then when it wasn't, a lot of people were like, oh, I don't know. Maybe not.
But maybe they'll listen, Jay. Maybe they'll go, oh, all right, fair enough.
No, Yoshi's already said he's. It's funny. They did an interview with Yoshi 3 or 4 days ago
Hmm.
where they literally got like a crew to film him for a day at work, and he sat on his computer going through YouTube comments of like people talking about the game and like criticisms of it and stuff. And he was just
Shit.
like, he was basically saying how much he's fed up with having to read it all the time.
Well, he doesn't need to,
And
does
he's like,
he?
he's like saddened by people saying certain things about it.
He doesn't need to do that, does he? I'd like to talk about what I've been playing, Jay. And
Please,
there's been
yes, I'm
quite a
fascinated.
lot.
I want to know.
So I've been
Yeah,
off
good
for a
idea.
month
Yeah, this is
because
what happens
I've
when you've
been
got time to yourself. You get to
literally I've been
play
off for a
stuff on
month.
your list.
I know. Tell me about it. And because I'm switching between jobs, so I haven't had as much time as I would have hoped for, but I have had some time, obviously.
Because you have a
So
social life, unlike most gamers.
I'm not sure about that, but there was just a lot of stuff to catch up on, like sorting out the shed and stuff, which I'm really
Sure.
glad we've done because I think it bothers my subconscious mind if I don't do those things. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Like I'm
that
always
is.
like, oh, that's messy.
That's definitely when I'm
No.
at my happiest and most likely to be playing a game is when I have nothing else going on, like at all, anywhere.
I've told India this. I reckon I play and enjoy games more when there's not other things that I need to do. I
Hmm.
don't play them to like escape from chores. In fact, I really only play them when
When there
I'm
are
not.
none.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it sort of lets you actually properly let go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, hundred
I feel like
percent.
movies are almost better, like similar, but they're almost better for the escape part of the things. Like if you're
Totally.
worrying about something, but a lot of the times I won't actually do anything if I'm worried about something. I'll just stop. I'll just not do anything. I'll probably watch
Yeah,
YouTube if I'm lucky.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So I've been very busy, as I just mentioned, Jay. I borrowed God of War Ragnarok off L, and I
Mm.
finished that. So that was
Ooh,
a
play it.
massive game. Yes,
Ooh, very nice. How many hours?
obviously 40.
Wow, that's not a lot. Okay. Well, that is a lot, but that's a decent amount of time for that kind of game.
About the same time as the original. I think the original might have taken slightly longer, but because
Yeah,
a
you've
lot
now
of the
got a better
mechanics from the
idea.
original,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the mechanics from the original are in this game. So, and I did second. I was gonna say second hardest, second easiest difficulty. So
So like
it was
normal.
still there was like 4 or 5.
So
So
it's went
like
like easy, normal, hard,
easy,
ultra. So is
more
there like a
like
super easy,
very
easy?
easy,
Yeah.
easy, normal,
So you did it
hard,
on easy. Okay,
extreme.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Right.
just because I want that balance. And even then, there was a few battles where I was like, okay, right. So yeah, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for that experience from God of War. But this was a massive game, Jay, that obviously I was really looking forward to playing. Love the first one, as everyone knows. L got it on launch, and I borrowed it off him.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do a special with L and the guys because I know you're not gonna play it.
Hmm.
Um, so I am going to do a special because there's so much detail I want to talk about, and it's great that nothing got spoiled for me as well, which is
I was
really
gonna say,
nice.
yeah, it came out in November last year, right? So it's been almost a
Yes.
year. It's been
Yeah.
like
Well,
nine
6, 7
months.
months. Yeah, getting there. So I think the algorithm perpetuates what you search. So as long as you don't search God of War and you don't say God of War, I
I
think
will
you'll
say,
be
yeah, I
right.
feel like the God of War sort of didn't like it went away fairly quickly, like after it came out.
Yeah,
I
I
think because
think
it
you're
was like I
right.
think because Christmas was happening, it sort of got bombarded by just festive times.
Well, I think there's other reasons too. And what I'll just say on the pod here and now is that yeah, I have platinumed it. I have finished it. We're gonna do a special, but without looking to bait people's like opinions and arguments, I was disappointed
Hmm.
overall in the game. That's not to say it's a bad game. It's an excellent game.
There seems to be a bit of a trend here, Nick.
It's an excellent game, but it didn't deliver on things that I was hoping it was going to deliver on.
That's again the trend.
especially from the first game. So I'll go into detail about that in the special, but just wanted to put that out there in the ether because I
Yeah,
know a lot of people really liked it and it, got loads of games, which is great. But as I say, it didn't. I enjoyed playing through it, and there were some incredible moments, but it didn't do what the first game did for me. And I'm not trying to compare it, but like I can't help it. They're literally two games side by. Skill Up was his review for Ragnarok. I watched the first few minutes, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't really compare this to the first one. More see it as a second part to the first part." All right, then. Well, from my perspective, I get his perspective. I agree to some extent, but I don't know what to say. The ending wasn't as good as the beginning, it, and I know it's all about the journey, but when you build up to the ending and the ending doesn't deliver, Jay, imagine watching a M. Night Shyamalan film and there's no twist.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying there should be a twist in this game. I'm just using his example of, he does twists, is what he does, right? So anyway, so let's move on from that. A game I do want to talk about with great detail, but I won't bore you. Is a game called Sayonara Wild Hearts. Jay, have you heard of this game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sounds very
So this is
obscure.
I'll call it a rhythm-based scrolling action game.
Yeah, yeah. There's a couple of those out recently, isn't there?
Dude, so this game's actually quite old now. I think it
Yeah.
was out on PS4, but I missed it. And I'm quite picky about my indie games because I know a lot of people rave about quite a lot of them. But for me, it has to be like a journey level,
Yeah,
like
indie games are very hit and miss.
yeah,
They're very Marmite-ish. Like either you love them or you hate them.
agreed. And I think I don't want to sound it sounds so negative. I think the ideas in a lot of indie games is great, but I think sometimes
They
it
need to
just
be more
doesn't.
fleshed out, right?
Yeah,
They almost feel like a movie or a TV show that wasn't given enough budget,
yeah,
so it just
or
kind of
finished
ruins the
like
whole
halfway through
thing.
the season or something. Like
Yeah, or
yeah,
like something that got
totally.
cancelled after season one, and you're like, why? I had so much. Oh, what? I loved it.
Firefly, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
So this game was on my list, and I saw it went on sale, and I thought, all right, I'll get it. It'll be like whatever. I started watching a YouTube Let's Play, and I was like, when you watch the first mission, and you're like, you know what, I think I do need to play this game
Yes.
actually.
Yeah, I know
Um,
exactly what you mean.
so I jumped in, sort of like mid-low expectations, and I got blown away. This game is
What's
amazing.
it called again?
It's Sayonara Wild Hearts.
Okay.
You probably recognize it, but I implore everyone to go and check out this game. It's on sale right now on
Oh.
PlayStation. I don't want to tell you any more about it, but I genuinely loved it. And I'll tell you another thing, guys. It's only like an hour long, so it respects your time completely.
Yeah, I
If
like
you
that.
want, and you get all the gold medals and all the collectibles, and you want this torturous, painful 10 to 15-hour experience of trying to master this game, please go ahead. I played through it once, loved it, left it. And that's how I'm going to leave it. I've got like 3 trophies. One of them was for pausing it 12 times in a row. I don't give a shit.
Interesting. This
This
game
game,
looks odd.
it's great. It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming sensory wise sometimes.
It kind of almost
But
looks a little bit mobile game-ish.
I get that. I get that.
I can understand if they made this into a mobile game, I'd be like, that makes sense.
I wouldn't be
Wow, it came out
surprised if
three
there's a
years ago.
port. But
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
Annapurna. That makes so much sense.
publisher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I've checked out the developers. I don't think they've done anything quite as interesting as this game.
Yeah,
More
that's what I
mobile
was about to
games.
look up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I implore everyone to please check this game out. I'm sure you might have heard other people talk about it, but it was awesome. And do you know what as well? The story wasn't really ambiguous. Like I got the story, I got the plot points. Look, I have my interpretation of it, and I really enjoyed it.
Swedish independent developer.
So yeah, so that's that.
Okay.
Next up, Jay. Few games I've tried, so I'll bash through them. Me and Will are playing zombies, World at War zombies.
Yeah, this is actually part of like one of my story or my news things. I was just going to mention about like
Yes.
how I want to say there's currently in the top 10 best-selling games on Xbox right now. I think 5 or 6 of them are like old Call of Duty games, like 360 era Call of Duty games, because
But
all
we
the
should
all the
right.
servers are back up. I even played actually. I was going to say I played a couple of matches on Black Ops 1, 2, and I went on World Modern Warfare 2, the old one. And yes, it's actually funny. I can't remember which one it was. Actually, no, it was Modern Warfare 2. I got into a match, and the first thing I hear over the mic is someone say, "Listen up, F words, we're back."
That's so
And I'm just
weird.
like, Jesus Christ, it's like 2008 all over again. It's
Oh
crazy. Just
god.
hearing
So there
people
were people in
slur.
game chat like,
Yeah, everyone was on. It was screaming. I was like, oh my God. I had to mute everybody.
oh, that's amazing.
It
I
was
love that.
hilarious. I
I
got
love that.
dominated immediately. Although I think when I played Black Ops, I actually did pretty well. It's weird playing those games again. But it's weird playing those games on a 4K TV as well. Like the graphics look awful, but
Do you have all the boxes for them and things, Jay?
yeah, I have all of them apart from World at War.
Nice.
Yeah, or most of them apart from World at War. I really wanted to put back in Ghosts actually because Ghosts is one of my favorites.
Oh, let's not
But then
talk about
I
that.
sort of deliberately didn't want to download it because I didn't want to like ruin my memory of it because I enjoyed it so
Sure.
much.
Yeah, no, fair.
With it,
So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to talk about this, Jay. But basically, I got the DLC for the first time, which I never had for
Mm.
World at War. So me and Will have just been playing through that. And something I want to point out is the simplicity of those original zombie maps. It
Yeah, they are the best ones, hands down.
dude,
I like
you
the older ones, but the I say the newer ones I should say, but the older ones they really are just like sometimes simpler is better. It really is.
Dude, I was just about to say, like what you're saying about things being for younger audiences and like, oh, I don't get the new zombie maps. Going back and playing them, I'm like, you know what? It's not us, it's the maps because they are just better.
What,
They're
the new ones
just
or the old ones?
no, the old ones, they're
Yeah,
just better. Like,
I
they're
I will say some of the newer ones can be fun, but I'd say
sure.
the most recent ones are a bit naff, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but it's been a great time playing. And like you say, Jay, we've got to talk about. I mean, how have we haven't got even got the Activision decision on here, have we? Have we got it?
No, we haven't, but they have come to. So FTC lost their case, so I'm pretty sure
Their repeat.
America's
Oh
in
yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it literally just is a CMA, I think, at this point.
But
They
it didn't.
delayed the thing from July 8th. July 18th was the due date, so they've extended it to August something, August
Right. Okay.
20th or something. So we're going to know by end of August whether or not CMA says yes. They're
But it
currently in
sounds.
talks about. They're basically renegotiating about their decision.
But it sounds like Microsoft are moving forward with it anyway. No.
Well, they can. So technically, right now, illegally, they can close the deal and it's all good, except that the deal won't go ahead in the UK.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
they want it to go ahead in the UK because they're losing a massive portion of their Western audience. So they're
Sure.
basically missing out on like the equivalent of like 10 million people, essentially,
So Jay,
give or take.
do we think that? Because I'm not even sure if we've got a conclusion to this. I've been dying to talk to you about this.
Mm,
Are we basically thinking that because the ABK thing's about to go through,
I
they've been
think I know
moving
what
things
you're gonna
behind the
say.
scenes? Have
Yeah.
they literally just gone, right, guys, you guys in Activision watching over the COD servers, can you just fix the Xbox ones, please? And then
No.
we'll.
So the story is, I'll give you two things.
Mm,
As far as I know, I think it is in a contract somewhere that we are not allowed to have any Call of Duty game on Game Pass until 2025 at the earliest.
you reckon?
I've seen it somewhere. It's in a document. It's like a law-abiding thing in a document somewhere. I'm pretty sure. I could be
That's really
wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
disappointing. Even the old ones.
Yeah, I think even the old ones. It could just be newer titles, but newer ones maybe they might be able to come back.
I
I'm
hear
not
you.
sure.
I hear you.
So a lot of people were speculating, oh, is it just because we're going to get them on Game Pass soon? So that sort of crossed that out slightly. The second thing was it's not actually Activision who fixed the servers; it's Microsoft that fixed the servers. So Microsoft sent a team over to Activision and went, "Here we go, we're going to fix it for you." Blah 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 blah.
But that must be because they want players to buy the OG games on.
Which has worked. So currently, all 360 Call of Duty titles are currently outselling the most recent Modern Warfare Xbox game.
One question about that, Jay. Obviously, that's amazing.
Kidding me? That's fucking like history making.
It
It's
is.
insane. They're
But
probably
my
making so
question,
much money
Jay,
right now. They're all on
did
sale
those
as well.
gamers not have it already?
Like I say, a lot of those gamers were probably not even born when the first lot of Call of Duties are coming out. So of course they
So
haven't. They've
then,
never played them before. I
but they
reckon
well, like,
a lot of these Call of Duty gamers have probably only started playing from like late Xbox One era.
yeah, but
A
why
lot
would
of them
they
probably
want to
didn't even
go
play
back in the
Ghosts.
first place? They would have no nostalgia to it.
Exactly. Their nostalgia is Black Ops 3.
Ugh.
Yes, exactly. Like their nostalgia is Black Ops 3 and 4, whereas
But what I'm
ours
saying,
is way before that.
sure,
We're talking about children here. You do realize, right? We're
no,
talking about
sure,
like
but what I mean is like,
13-year-olds.
what would drive them to try out the old ones? I suppose is all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Um,
I suppose hype, maybe. Like,
yeah,
why
probably.
not?
There's probably some sort of influencer who's talking about it. Probably.
Yeah,
It
sure,
could be anything. You know what
sure.
sells stuff now? It's TikTok, you know?
I get that.
Social media sells stuff. Influencers sell stuff for people. And
This
then yeah,
was.
the last thing is that the speculation was the reason why Microsoft went in and fixed everything is
Mm,
because they're doing a Nintendo port of the old games, and so they want to make it so that Nintendo
oh.
players are able to play on the servers properly.
Jay, this story's so mental to me because
It's crazy having a resurgence, a Call of Duty resurgence. I still
it
think
makes you.
actually Vanguard is the worst selling Call of Duty of all time still,
I think it probably is.
which is
What's
hilarious to
crazy
me.
is that one, it does make you wonder why didn't you do it before? You're printing money. But then there was someone did say, I think me and Will were talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, but to be fair, mate, like, why would you play in the new one if the old one works perfectly?"
Yeah,
And it's like,
exactly. They're
oh, interesting
basically
point.
it's a chess game basically. They're like Microsoft are being like, right, we don't want you to play on the PlayStation version of this game as much, so we'll make it so the servers of the older games work, so you'll play them instead.
Right, right.
Because
Oh, so you're actually thinking it's strategic from Microsoft's perspective?
potentially,
So like,
yeah, it's a double. It's like a two birds with one stone.
dude, they are. So, if that's the case, that is so smart, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
very smart.
yeah,
Money
we'll let
moves,
you
man.
have the future Call of Duties. Yeah, not a problem. What you fixing the old ones? You didn't say anything
I'm
about
pretty sure
that.
we spoke about it, didn't we, last time? But after this recent FTC thing that happened, Jim Ryan and PlayStation are only allowed to have Call of Duty as part of their Activision contract with Microsoft, which means that all Activision games that are made from now on will be Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, Jesus.
Because the thing is, they came to Jim Ryan before and said, "Look, we're going to make you a 10-year deal. All Activision games that are made from now on will be on PlayStation for the next 10 years." And he went,
Mm.
"No, not having that. We're going to basically make it so you can't buy them instead." And then what's happened since then is Jim Ryan lost, and now his best deal is you're only going to get Call of Duty for the next 10 years, and that's it. So it's now just Call of Duty and not even any of the other Activision games or Blizzard games.
This is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Do we? I mean,
Jim Ryan messed up massively. He should have just took the deal.
I know Xbox have a history of not getting involved in their acquisitions, but the sky's the limit here because they could just remaster all of those games. Like,
Dude, I mean, we spoke about it before. Like, technically, if this goes through, Microsoft owns Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, like a lot of
yeah,
your favorite characters as well. Like, they own
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Like, so many properties that you didn't even realize were owned by Activision and Blizzard. It's crazy.
But
And
related to
King as
another one
well,
of your,
isn't it? So
related to another one of your stories, Jay, um, is that PS5 is outselling Xbox Series
2 to 1,
2-1 now.
2 to 1. Yeah, so 40 million sold on PS5s and 20 million sold Series X.
Which I'm a bit disappointed by because I actually think the Series X is a pretty good console.
Yeah,
But
technically on paper, the Series X is more powerful on
right.
paper.
But my question,
Only just.
my comment, Jay, was that they need this acquisition more than ever now because of that, right?
Yeah, it's more. The acquisition is actually less for the console market and more for the mobile market.
Mobile. I did hear that, but I still think it will help.
Yes, it will. It will benefit us a lot,
Yes.
which was pretty much the main argument for the whole thing: is that it benefits consumers more than it does anything else.
And
It's to
also,
get
Jay,
more people to play more games.
We did get a few games come through on Game Pass after the Bethesda acquisition, and I know what you're saying about Call of Duty, but forgetting that for a second, Jay, is there a world where we do get, I don't know, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Crash 4, but do we get some Activision games come through day one on this, you reckon, on Game Pass?
I don't know. I think it'll probably trickle.
Okay.
Hard to say, but I can't think of anything Activision while I'm looking forward to it necessarily. I
No,
can't
I'm
wait
talking
for it
about
to be on
older
Game
ones,
Pass.
old games.
Yeah,
though.
that's what me
Old...
too. I'm saying that. Like, what? Can you give me any examples of stuff that you think I might be interested in? Like, what Activision games are there? I don't even know. But the only Activision games I can tell you that exist is Call of Duty. And didn't Activision also make Tony Hawk for a little while?
Yes, they did that remake.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can really think of.
Remake. Well, I suppose Blizzard's the other half. So would they put Diablo 4 on there? I don't know.
Let me put list of Activision games 2010 to 2019. Yeah, they did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Oh yeah, the Transformers games. That's what they've been talking about a lot recently. They're going to bring all the Transformers games back on Game Pass.
Wow.
Oh, dude, you're not going to fucking believe this.
What?
They did Singularity.
You love that game, don't you?
Oh, dude, it's so good. If they'd made a sequel to that, that would blow my mind.
Is it worth playing?
They also did Guitar Hero as well.
Yeah. Oh.
They did Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, probably one of my favorite Spider-Man games of all time.
Oh, wow.
There's so
all
many
the Spider-Man games,
dude.
all the Spider-Man
X-Men
games.
games. Although I don't think Marvel would be too happy about that nowadays. Yeah, there's some
It wouldn't be that
stuff.
cool though, right?
TMNT games. Yeah, a lot of the Transformers games are on here. Yeah, I think all the devs from the most recent Transformers games were actually pleading to Microsoft Online, being like, we want to put our games on Game Pass.
Dude.
So hopefully we're going to get that soon. That'd be cool.
Gun. You remember Gun?
Mm-hmm.
Prototype.
Mm-hmm.
They were fun, I think.
I mean, technically Destiny as well, right?
Yeah. Dude, their series has just gone so downhill.
I really want them to bring out Destiny 3 so bad. I'm getting fed up with the recent Destiny. All these expansions. You know what's funny about Destiny recently too is also Destiny is currently the game on console that has the most microtransactions in it.
Period.
In history. Period. It has more microtransactions in it than any other game.
And more season passes for that matter.
Yeah. Destiny's become a bit of a dead horse, and they're beating the fuck out of it. That's what they're doing. Same with Fortnite, to be honest.
I mean, I guess they're moving on, right? They're going to do other things. So
I don't know. Yeah, what are they going to do after Destiny? Probably nothing.
They've got Marathon now coming
out. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I get the impression, Jay, that's not going to be their main project, but I could be wrong about that.
I don't know. I just want them to make Destiny 3, or come up with a new IP. It's the same but different, you know.
New IP. Something. Moving back, Jay, to what I've been trying out. Went back to Norwich and I had a few games left installed on my PS4. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to mop up a few achievements on the Last of Us Remastered, the first one, on New Game Plus, and I think I'm also going to play through the DLC Left Behind again because I didn't get the collectibles for that, and that's only when I'm back in Norwich.
Yeah.
The other few games I've got installed on that is Detroit Become Human, which I really got in the mood for. So I think I might finish that.
I might watch someone play that because I don't think I'm ever going to play that. I wouldn't mind playing it because it's basically like Heavy Rain, right?
I'll tell you what though, dude. Because there's multiple choices, I think you have to get every single thing for the platinum, which gives me... I was going
to say, that's like, we're talking like 100 hours, probably more, right?
It actually makes me want to throw up.
I don't know. I'm sure it'd be fun.
And I think it's one of those things, OJ, like, yeah, if I bought it day one, I probably would, do that, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
I do.
So I might finish that too. And then also, Jay, I realised I never finished Crash 4, ever.
Okay.
So I'm getting through that. I'm enjoying the challenge following my Bloodborne, post-Bloodborne. Yeah. So I think I might finish that too. Another game I tried out, Jay, that I got halfway through the story mode on. Can you guess? Because you'll never guess.
Probably not. No, go on.
Mortal Kombat X.
Oh, that's actually a decent game.
Really cool game.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I don't think a lot of people realize that the campaigns for Mortal Kombat games are pretty fun.
It was. I just thought I'll play through the story mode because I never have, and it was really fun.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
decent.
the
Mortal
problem
Kombat
is,
9
Jay.
onwards is
Oh,
actually really decent. Anything before 9 is a bit naff.
fair. And they reboot the story from 9, right? If I'm not correct, miss.
Yeah, they rebooted it in 9, and then they did 10, 11, and then they rebooted it again for this one.
Wait a minute. What isn't it the case, Jay, that 9, 10, 11 almost tell the stories between 1 to 8 or 1 to 7?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Got you.
basically just like reset the universe. They told the same stories again in a more condensed version, and then they rebooted it again. But it's basically like a time travel movie where they went back and redid it all again to see if the outcome would be different, but it turned out to be the same. So then they just sort of went, oh, we'll do it again, but instead we'll remake the universe instead, rather
Sure.
than just going back in time.
Sure.
So they just remade the universe a lot like a particular manga that I is one of my favorites.
What's the general temperature check on Mortal Kombat 1 at the moment?
Looking like it's going to be an amazing esports game. I can't wait to watch. Which, by the way, we've got two major tournaments happening in the next 2 weeks. We've got Evo, so I'll be watching that next weekend, and the Pokemon World Championships. I'll be watching that the weekend after.
Cool.
I cannot wait. The hype for both of those is so because it's going to be the first Evo with Street Fighter 6 as like the main thing as well. So it's going to be insane watching that.
So loads of new things that players are going to try out and
Yeah, they're
do.
also going to have, I think, booths at Evo where you're able to play Project L, which is League of Legends fighting game, and also Mortal Kombat as well. Mortal Kombat 1.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch both of those. It's going to be
So
so
what
hype.
about Mortal Kombat 1 as a game? Are you excited for it or
I don't think I'll be buying it.
okay?
Fighting games are sort of. I want to play them. I want to get good at them, but it's just too much of a time sink.
Well, one of the things I was going to say, Jay, was the reason I got halfway through was I got stuck, and I'm just not very good at them, dude.
Yeah.
And like you say, I was just a
You
bit
kind
like,
of have to at least learn the basics of some stuff,
and I
especially like
also
with combos and stuff. But a lot with the campaign, a lot of time you play different characters, so it's kind of hard to do that.
yeah, and also like, they had this skip mechanic where you could skip fights, but I didn't realize they only had a certain amount of skips.
Oh, okay. So like 5 or something.
Yeah. So then I got stuck, and I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and be stuck on this game. Like, I just want to play through it. So
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
yeah. Another game I tried out was another indie game, Jay, which I heard good things about. It's a card game called Inscription. You heard of this?
I have. Yeah.
Played it for an hour and not my bag, but
Okay.
I think
I
I
can
can
see
see the
why.
appeal.
I can see both the appeal and some reason why someone wouldn't want to play it.
Well, I got told, don't worry, it's a card game. Do worry, it's a card game. It's a fucking card game.
It's also one of those games that can be sped run as well.
Is it?
Yeah, I watched someone do a speed run of it. IGN does this thing so often. Well, they'll do like a speed run with the devs, so they'll basically get the devs to watch someone do a speed run, and they'll comment on it, do like commentary while it's going. I watch almost every single one of those because they're just fascinating to listen to these devs be like, "Oh, I didn't realize you could do that," or "Oh, I knew about that kind of thing, but we tried to fix it and we couldn't fix it," and all this kind of stuff. And we deliberately put that there to make sure people could look at could find this secret or whatever. Like all these little like inside baseball details that are just like so cool.
100%.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was actually a really good speed run, that one. Inscription. Interesting, sort of, the strategy of it, I think, is what intrigues me.
Yeah. You might like it.
Nah.
There's another Game Pass game, Jay, called Ravenlock, which again is
I
another
almost
indie game.
downloaded it. I was like, oh, the achievements are pretty easy. Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I got
Maybe
1000 G on it, and it was only like 2 or 3 hours, which was quite nice.
I'll
It's
probably
very
get around
basic.
to it. I have a feeling it'll stay on there for a while.
It's very basic, but there was enough in there where I was like, you know what? This is a good game.
Short and sweet, man. I do like short and sweet things. Like I either like 100-hour RPGs or like a day's worth of playing something.
I agree.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So played through that and pleasantly surprised. Something I wasn't pleasantly surprised about was Somerville. You remember this game?
Yes.
So from the creator or creators or whatever of a team who worked on Inside, which is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
Somerville, when it came out, it got a little bit mixed reception, and I heard there was bugs and stuff, right? And I was just looking at it, Jay, on the store, and I was thinking, there's no way. How is this game not a 4 out of 5 as a minimum? Like, there's just no effing way. Like, you look at the trailer, you look at the intro, you're like, this game looks
It does look
insane.
decent. Yeah, it's almost like a War of Worlds type thing.
Totally. So I played about half an hour, and I was like, oh yeah, this game is kind of broken, actually.
Oh, is it buggy?
Like, really buggy.
Oh, that's disappointing. Because I almost played it. I downloaded it. I was like, right, I'll play this game after I've done these other indie games at EasyG, and then I got bored and I was like, oh, I'll get rid of it.
You might like the jank, but too much for me, mate. Way
Ooh,
too much for me.
I like it when people use jank in a sentence.
So that was an unfortunate so I didn't bother, but
yeah,
I did try
fair.
it out.
There's no harm in trying.
Mm. And then lastly, on this very long list while I've been off.
Yeah, you've been
I know.
really grinding.
Another game called Planet of Lana, new game to Game Pass.
Again, downloaded it and then looked at the achievements and what you'd have to do for it, and I was like, maybe not.
Bro, totally feel that.
Because there's one achievement where you've got to play through the whole game without dying, I think, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. There is a bit of a cheese to it, but I'm not going to do that.
No, completely. Yeah, you can restart checkpoint, so you know before you technically die, so it's not too bad. But yeah, pleasant surprise, Jay. This game was quite nice.
Yeah, it looked very
simple,
calming and
progressional. The music's really good.
Yeah,
the puzzles
that's the one thing about indie games
nice.
is the music tends to be pretty on point.
That's true. And the puzzles were nice enough where I was like, yeah, I'm kind of like thinking about it, and again, short and sweet, so that was good too. So yeah, so generally speaking, I had a good time with it. But I think I've played through my indie game period now. I'm happy to play more AAA stuff for a bit, That's where I'm at really. That's my hometown.
Fair enough. I still really badly want to play The Witness, but it's too much. I'm not paying 32 quid to play that.
Just log into my thing and you can play it. Just log into my account.
Nah, you're alright. I want to. I'm waiting for it to come out on Game Pass. It'll come out eventually. It has to. It's a Game Pass game.
I'm sure it was on there at some point, Jay. I'm sure it was.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
I thought it was too, but
that's it, mate. So
Sweet.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Last thing I will say, not game related.
Okay.
I have in fact completed Barbieheimer.
What, you watched them both?
I have.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I'm still kind of curious about Barbie because it was a bit of a rug pull, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got a lot of opinions on it. I won't say anything.
Yeah, I'll watch it and then we'll talk about it because I'm curious now.
I'm curious.
Honestly, I might actually never watch it. It's one of those movies where I'm like, I don't even know if I want to subdue myself to that.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It almost it's to me, Barbie has now been put into the in the same category as like Gone Girl.
Well, Jay, whoa! I love Gone Girl. Hold on a minute.
No, so do I. I think it's a great movie.
Oh, okay.
What I mean is, I mean like the subtext and the sort of
meta.
I don't know. No, the kind of opinions people have after watching it. Let's go with that. Gone Girl is a very to a lot of it's like very feministy, I guess.
Oh, that's not how I read Gone Girl at all.
I know, me neither. But a lot of people seem to look at it that way. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can kind of see that. But people they sort of, how like a lot of people say that if you are a fan of, if you're a guy who's a fan of Joker, if you're a fan of The Godfather, if you're a fan of
they reference these in the
Pulp
film.
Fiction, then you must be like an absolute maniac who think that men are the best and women are just like slaves. That's what a lot of people have in their minds. Like, people think that if you like those movies and you're a guy that's roughly our age, you must hate women. It's kind of like the flip side of that is Gone Girl and now Barbie for the women. Like it's that they hate men if they like those movies.
Okay. Well,
see where I'm coming from? It's ridiculous, but it's just sort of like this echelon of movies that are like in these groups.
I see where you're coming from.
It's really odd, from.
I think
Gone Girl's amazing. It's a good movie.
Oh my god, I love that film.
Ben Affleck was awesome in that.
I think is that you joking?
Yeah, take the piss.
Yeah.
Now
I
he was
got you.
good in it. I'm just saying that was like me being
Yeah.
deliberately
Who's Rosamund
misogynistic.
Pike? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
who the
get you.
fuck's Rosamund Pike?
I thought, I was like, is he? Yeah, no, yeah, fair. Yeah. In terms of, I won't say anything obviously, but what I will say is, what was I going to say about Barbie?
Come on,
Nothing in
Barbie.
terms of like opinions or anything, but no, I won't say because it might
Nah,
influence your viewing.
yeah,
So.
I want to see it.
Oh, actually, no. What I was going to say was, 10 minutes in, you're a guy and you realise this film is about Barbie.
Yeah,
And
but then another
I'm
10
not
minutes later
saying.
and you know it's about not about Barbie.
Well, all I mean is, there might be some guys who like Barbie, but me as a young man did not like Barbie. So it's
Now it's funny, you know, the Ken character is actually being taken as almost like what's the name out of Psycho, American Psycho, Bateman?
Patrick Bateman, yeah.
Yeah, Ken has now become another Patrick Bateman style character.
What a classic.
No, just sort of like a bit of a meme of like guys and how they act. Like, there's
Fair
actually
enough.
guys have taken that Ken character and been like, yeah, he was actually right in that movie.
Jay.
We are Knuff, you know. I am Knuff.
Oh, that's great. I love it. I mean,
It's a bit of a
Ryan
meme.
Gosling's very good in it. So,
Yeah,
no. Oh, Jay, I was joking. I was trying to.
he was good in it though.
I know, but who's Margot Robbie?
Yeah, who the fuck is Margaret?
Oh god. Right, Jay. Let's move on to the news.
Please.
I didn't realize this had been announced, so I am fucking shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy 14, sorry, is coming to Xbox.
It is, yeah. So I need to talk about this. So that's good news. But the other side of that, the flip side of that is they made a statement saying that Square Enix is now going to, when possible, bring their games to Xbox.
What does that mean when possible, Jay?
Probably the same as previous years, where they're going to deliberately ignore Microsoft and put Sony first.
Very good.
Because
Very good.
Octopath Traveler 1 was on Xbox, but 2 wasn't. Stuff like that. Like there's certain games where they pick and choose, you know.
Well,
they make a lot of deals with Sony because obviously they're Japanese
7
company.
Remake's still not on Xbox.
Which
still.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I couldn't care less.
Well, you've played it.
I know, but on PlayStation, I think Final Fantasy to me is a PlayStation thing, as far as I'm concerned.
I understand that.
Let's put it this way: if Final Fantasy only ever came out on PlayStation from now on, that wouldn't bother me.
So you're not bothered about 14 coming to Xbox then?
No, I've already played it as much as I wanted to.
Sure.
Let's put it this way: if you start playing it, I'd start playing it.
All I
I'm not
mean
gonna play it
is,
on my own again. It's boring.
but we both know it's massive to the ecosystem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They've also done a massive graphical update to 14 as well, or they're going to.
On like PC and console, or
both, I think. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, like it's kind of insane the amount of graphical, you know, how they've made it look.
I guess
better or
that's to
whatever.
match the new consoles, perhaps.
New engine for 16, I think, as well.
Oh bloody hell!
They say new
Right,
engine,
okay.
like better use of the engine.
Sure. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Anything else? No. On
What
that?
we talking? What we were talking about?
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, Square Enix games. I will say that I would prefer, like, that I never have to buy a PlayStation again. Because I'd much rather just have to buy one console. I have to buy two because there's going to be exclusives on both.
Wait a minute. So your choice, if you were only going to get one, would be Xbox.
Yeah.
But you've lost me. But you went to PS4.
I did, because Xbox One was awful.
Sure, but sure, okay.
I'm hopeful that the next generation of Xbox would be better than One and this. Even though this is the best they've had, I think this and 360 are probably the best they've had.
Look, without getting too deep into it, I reckon you could be right, Jay. But what needs to happen is Xbox needs to have loads of good games, and PlayStation need to have no good games.
Yes,
it's just very unlikely.
Basically, but that's
but
why
it could
I'm
happen.
annoyed.
It could happen. It could happen. Like if
I don't think
PlayStation really
had a bad generation.
No, I think you're probably right. Yeah,
3 generations have been good.
Yeah,
I think PS3 was probably their worst one, and it was still amazing.
But even then, yeah, what Uncharted 1, 2, 3? I mean, just as a starting point, like, come on. Yeah, no, I get that.
What
I
else? Are
get
we
that.
still doing new stuff?
Yeah.
Go on. What
Um,
we doing? What we doing?
Xbox new update.
Yeah, so no, I actually haven't been on the Xbox since the update happened, so I don't even know. I know what it looks like. I just haven't been on it yet.
It looks good. One of the main complaints that I had, Jay, was that I didn't like how the starting tiles were always cover like my background, because I was like, well, why have I
Yes.
picked my background?
Yes.
So I do like how it actually shows you your background.
Well, it's funny because
So
I've been keeping tabs on this. I follow a lot of people who are like beta testers for this kind of stuff.
yeah.
So they've been talking about it for months. Like this dashboard's been out for like probably close to 9 or 10 months now. And they've been like talking about it and how great it is. And the one thing they kept saying was, finally, my background is I can actually see my background. So I've been looking forward to that the entire time because yeah, I agree. Like
Yeah,
the tiles are just too big.
too big.
It's funny now how much
It's
the
nice.
dashboard looks a lot more like the PlayStation dashboard. Funnily enough.
I still prefer the navigation of Xbox by a
Yeah, me too.
mile.
Which is funny because I absolutely hated the Xbox One navigation. It was awful.
You might not have
PS4
disliked
is
it
better than
towards the end
PS5,
though,
but
because
Series X is better than both.
but Xbox One started out very different to how it ended.
Yes, exactly. I liked
Bit
how it
like
was in the
360.
beginning. Didn't like how it was later on.
Nah,
I
fair
think.
enough. Dude, I don't know why, I've got a lot of nostalgia for the how the Xbox One UI originally looked back in the
Yeah,
day.
exactly. I think I actually didn't mind the 360, even though it was so
Oh, loved it.
old now. But yeah, the tabs, man, they were great.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Um, Starfield. Okay, Jay. Look, I don't like looking. I'm out of Starfield now. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
What did
play
I
it.
mention?
Um, entire skill tree. Someone's worked
Yeah,
out the
no. So
entire
I
skill
wasn't gonna
tree.
like say anything. I wasn't gonna go too in depth. I was just
Nah,
gonna
that's
say
cool.
that as part of my preparation for Starfield, I will be studying this.
Okay,
I mean, I already have been.
understood.
I've probably watched. I don't know. Probably about 50 hours worth of videos going in depth as to what we know about Starfield already.
Okay.
There's a guy I follow on YouTube who's like, his whole channel is to look at Starfield trailers and video clips and work out, reverse engineer everything to work out
So
what
you're gonna
could
do a lot
possibly
of
be in the game.
So you're gonna do a lot of research into Starfield then.
That is the hope. Yeah, there's still a lot we don't know, but it's funny because the game comes out technically September 1st. No, yes,
Night.
no, because you get it 4 days early if you get the special thing.
Are you doing that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Starfield. So it comes out the 6th, but it comes out the 1st if you get the special thing for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Or
five
if you
days
buy it,
earlier.
period. Right.
Or if
Like
you
you.
buy it, yes.
Yeah.
But luckily it's on Game Pass, but you can pay 30 quid and you get to have all the special stuff that comes with the 90 quid version, which is like fucking ridiculous. So I've done that. But the thing is, I haven't booked time off until like the 11th, I think.
Okay.
So I'll have played it for like almost 10 days before I actually get time off to play it properly.
Nah, I don't think you'll
Thing is,
cover
though, I
most
don't
of the
think I'm going
game
to
in
get very
10
far
days.
in 10 days.
Yeah,
I'm in theory going to have played about 40 hours by that point.
I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'll probably be about a quarter of the way through, hopefully,
Yeah, maybe.
if not a
Yeah.
third.
I think it's going to be really difficult to dissect how much time we're going to be able to have to commit between like main quests, side quests, discovery, planets. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I've got no idea what the ratios will be between those things.
I'm both looking forward and am annoyed at the fact that I won't be able to know everything going in. As in, there won't be a guide to follow. It'll literally be everyone does it at the same time.
Well, you can always not play it day one.
No, I will, but I think there will be a guide because there'll be people who played the preview version, and there'll be some level of a guide, at least for the beginning of the game. So I'm hoping that
Sure.
by the time I've got caught up to where the guides are at that point, they'll have progressed further, so I can just keep following the guide as it goes along. That's
Well,
my
like you
plan.
say, Jay, I don't think you'd be able to play it quick enough as the guides are being written when it
Probably
comes
not.
out.
No.
So, like, for instance, when you've played it for a week, someone will probably have a guide up for the whole of the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
probably.
there's no. I
I'm
don't
sure
think.
it's much. It's probably going to be the same as like Fallout games, where you could get through the main story in like 30 hours, maybe less, if you just
Maybe
did
more.
nothing but the main story.
Sure.
Because I know you can speed run Fallout 3 in like 5 hours or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say the
Dude,
only
why
bit
have
of
we got a
information that's
remaster of
interesting
that?
about
Fucking what a joke.
Starfield is we know how many achievements there are going to be, and that's all we know so far.
Dare I ask?
Nah, it's only the same as Fallout 4.
50.
50, exactly 50.
50. I like that. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
decent, isn't
cool. I like that.
it?
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm probably also going to do multiple playthroughs.
I can't think about that right now, but I know you
I
like doing
can.
that.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about all play
Oh,
time, dude.
no.
I already know what my first playthrough is going to be.
The one and done, that's what the ladies call me, you know what I mean? So I'll be...
Wow. No round two, dude?
No.
Oh, you're missing out.
Probably not. Probably not. I quite like getting the character how I like it with all my stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
I
I
actually
know
want
you're
to
different.
mention something that reminded me of something I was going to bring up. Cyberpunk DLC, September.
Shit, what are you
So
gonna do about that?
I'll be playing that. Actually, when does it come out? Let me remind myself.
End of September?
Yeah, I'll have gone back to work by that point. But I'm actually feeling myself kind of getting back in the mood to want to play it.
So you reckon you'll play
September
that day
26th.
one and then go back to Starfield, or
Well, it's September 26th, so I'll have had 25 days to have played Starfield at that point.
a month basically?
Basically a month, yeah.
That's plenty of time.
Yeah.
You want you want it to get you want to get it done in a month?
I don't think I'll have it planned, but I'll probably have it decent. I'll have a good amount of it. I'll be at the end of I'll be at the end game, obviously. That's the plan.
Do you know what's funny?
I might have even started my second playthrough, depending on how.
I was going to ask, are you getting it on PlayStation or Xbox?
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Um,
But I'm actually really hyped about the DLC for Cyberpunk. Like
Nice.
genuinely excited about it now.
I think, by the way, in terms of Starfield, I don't think it'll be that difficult to get all the achievements for. To be fair,
No, the only thing I'm curious about
glitches.
is no, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking more about like I don't know if it's anything like Fallout, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Seriously.
Like it's basically okay. So let's put it this way: we already know that about 15 to 20 of the achievements are all going to be main story related.
Whoa! What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't want this.
Well, these are obvious things. These are things that
No,
are just
I
obvious.
don't care if they're obvious.
You know they're obvious.
I know they're obvious.
Like Fallout has about 20 of them are like main.
And then
main
20 will be
story
like
beats.
side quests, factions, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I would probably say more like 10 or 12.
Yeah,
That's 30.
fine.
That's roughly 30 out of the way.
And then someone will be like, discover 50
the
planets.
rest will probably be like stuff that I'd say probably about 5 to 8 of them
miscellaneous.
will be miscellaneous, and then the rest will be like specifically do this specific thing, or maybe like an Easter eggy type thing and find this,
Sure.
or like something. The rest of them, like that 10 of them, will be really hard to get.
Sure.
So 4/5 of it will probably be fairly easy, but the other fifth of it will probably be fairly difficult and time consuming, I imagine.
Sure.
I can't wait until the achievements leak. I cannot wait. I'm gonna be reading those things all the time.
Oh God, Jay. Yeah.
It's all about preparation when it comes to these type of games, dude. You either go in blind or you go in knowing everything, or most of what not everything, but a lot.
I guess so.
I like to be prepared. That's a difference. That's part of the reason why I'm not a massive fan of Zelda games. Because a lot of those games you just go in completely blind and you have to figure it out. I'm not much of a fan of just going in blind and figuring it out. I like knowing what I'm getting myself into.
And that's where we differ. But that's
I think that's my Final Fantasy side of me going in. Like a lot of the time, Final Fantasy, you can prepare for those a lot better.
Mm.
You can play it the Zelda type way, but I prefer. To me, that's the difference. There's prep and then there's none. I prefer the prep, which I don't know. I don't know. It's just how my brain functions, I guess.
We've also got on here Remnant 2. It's doing well.
It's got like a lot of players on Steam. Remnant 1 was a bit of a flop, but apparently the second one's going crazy. Apparently it's really good.
Why is that? Was it a slow burner? Like, what's that about?
I think it's funny. Remnant 1, I remember watching it when it launched, being like, "Oh, that game actually played decent," but then it wasn't. It was just a bit like it's like Outriders, but worse in terms of like. I think it was a bit buggy and a bit naff in places, but I think they've basically fixed all that and made it into like an actually really decent game. And it's actually pretty challenging, apparently. Like decently challenging. I've watched a lot of these like streamers who are like good at like Souls games and stuff play it as well. So
What's interesting to me, this game, Jay, reminds me of how there's games like Hunt Showdown, which have such a niche
yeah,
audience, but they've
that
got
again
enough
recently had a
people that.
massive resurgence,
Mm,
like a massive one. Like it went from I want to say like 500 concurrent players to like a couple thousand.
good lord.
I think people like saw it and went, "Hang on, this game's actually pretty decent," and they start playing it because it
Well,
does look
again,
decent. It looks fun.
sure, but again, it's for fuck's sake.
Let's put it this way: if
Again,
Remnant One and Hunt had come out at a very specific time when streamers were playing them, or like it had like a certain thing where like it got boosted in a certain way, they probably could have been as big as like some of these other ones that have come out and been boosted recently. You know, like an Among Us or like a even like a Fortnite type thing, or like a PUBG or a Rust. I feel like Rust is a good example. Like Rust blew up
Rust,
recently.
yeah, I feel like the battle royales are a little bit in their own league now, but
Yeah, but they,
when
it's
do
got a
you think?
similar trajectory though. All it takes
Sure.
is like one streamer to promote it once, and it'll blow up.
No, that's true, but I do think that games like this, they just seem to have a niche audience, and like that does them fine, you know, like
Yep.
kind of like how you might get Dying Light people playing that because it keeps getting DLCs and etc.,
Dying Light's actually a
you
pretty
know,
big game.
massive
Not
game.
Dying Light. Dead by Daylight is what I'm thinking of. Jesus Christ.
Again, got enough of a niche audience to keep putting Nick
I remember
Cage
I
out on
played
it,
that
you know.
game as it was like just before it blew up. Like it came out, and then about 3 months later, it didn't do very well. 3 months later, I started playing. Like, oh my god, this game's actually bloody decent. Why haven't I
Mm,
been playing this game?
mm.
Played it for I don't know 2, 3, 4 weeks. Absolutely loved it. And then as soon as I stopped playing it, like a streamer started playing it, and it blew the hell up. And like, it started getting DLC after DLC after DLC because they were getting the budget from people buying it. It's
It's a
crazy,
joke. It's a joke.
absolutely insane.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Mm.
And then we've also got. I thought we already discussed this, Jay, but Tencent buys Techland,
No, I'm
who
pretty sure we
made.
didn't.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, you're probably
It's
right.
fairly
Who made
recent
Dying
news.
Light? So what's the crack there then?
Tencent are responsible for the majority of mobile games or good mobile game sales nowadays. So they're a pretty big company. They're a Chinese company. They're very good at making games that make a lot of money, and Techland needed that. So it's either it depends depending on how you look at it. It's either a really really good thing or a really, really bad thing.
Do you think Techland needed some investment following Dying Light 2 not doing as well as they thought that it would do, or
Techland, let's just say, Dying Light 2 is probably one of the worst developments of a video game in history,
sure,
next to Skull and Bones.
please?
And I guess not. I wouldn't necessarily say Cyberpunk, but there's a bunch of games that just have been through development hell. Biomutant, I think, was another one that went through development hell. Yeah,
So
they needed better structure more than anything else, and I'm hoping that Tencent can give them that. Hopefully.
isn't there some people who don't like Tencent that much, so to
Yeah, I think
speak?
it's sort of like the monopoly effect, I like to call it, where like a big company comes in, they buy something, and then they sort of like monopolize it and make it into this really mainstream bullshit type thing. Which I think is basically what Disney have done with most of their IPs they've bought recently. They've just
Sh-
sort of come in and made it too mainstream
sure.
to a degree.
Dude, can you believe Indiana Jones is out of the cinema already?
Yeah, it didn't. It went in and went straight back out again because
Yeah.
Mission Impossible absolutely dominated it, and then Barbie and Oppenheimer came out and dominated both of those. So
Not to jump on the bandwagon, Jay, but how much has got to happen before someone. Well, Bob Iger. No, does Bob Iger run Disney? I
yeah, I
can't
think
even
it's Bob
remember.
Iger. Yeah, yeah. He left
Before
and then
he.
came back again.
Oh, right. Okay. How long before someone goes, are they doing the right things here? Do you know what I mean? Like for Lucasfilm, I mean,
Same with
like how
Kathleen. No,
many
you're talking
things?
about Kathleen Kennedy, is what you mean.
I am, yeah, but
She's the head
I
of
am
Lucasfilm,
only
isn't
because
she?
like there's only so many strikes, Jay, before you go. I'm not sure we've got the
Yeah, I
right
think the
creative direction
number.
here
I think Disney have lost $900 million in the last 2 or 3 years.
from
So
films.
from films, yeah, and TV shows.
You're joking?
It's there's a bit of a conspiracy at the minute as to the reason why the strikes are happening, or at least
Right.
part of
Okay.
the reason.
Yeah.
The industry has deliberately been underpaying their writers because they know how bad they are, so they want to get rid of them without firing them all in one go.
Oh, and you think the films aren't making money because the writing's been a bit shit? Then
Yeah,
basically.
They've
Interesting.
hired the wrong people for too long, so they're trying to get rid of them.
But they can't.
Well,
Okay.
they're getting rid of them to a degree. I don't know how well it's going to work, but there's also been a lot. Like all these they've got these people who are hired to I think they're called diversity like casting
Officers?
people, office something like
Oh.
that. Yeah, they're basically people who are hired to make sure that there's enough people who aren't white in a movie. A lot of those people have been fired recently,
You
including
joking?
at Disney. Yeah, Disney have got rid of a lot of them. Yeah,
So you think this might be a bit of a
the pendulum is swinging back. Hopefully, people are hopeful, but we don't know.
you reckon?
I don't know. I feel like it's really ingrained, so it's going to be hard to get rid of.
What I would say, Jay, is maybe you know maybe focus less on what Ariel looks like and make sure the film's good before you release it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's
Like,
that. Same with Snow White. Same with all these fucking movies.
you-
Who knows? We need to do a movie podcast, mate. We're talking too much about movies on here.
understood, understood.
You can cut all this movie stuff out because this could be like a 3 hour long bloody podcast. No?
Oh, I don't give a shit, man. I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
I
all
know.
good. It's all
I know.
good.
I know.
But it's wait, I can't.
It's because we care. We care too much, Nick. We care too much.
Exactly. Too passionate. That's what all people want to listen to, Jay, is passion. You know,
Yeah.
I did a podcast with Leash back in the day, right? I'm not saying
Mm.
certain names here. And
Yeah, that's a good one.
and
Yeah.
I suppose. And anyway, one of our mates was listening to it and she was like, we got to the bit where you talk about System of a Down albums, and I was a bit like, it's not my cup of tea. And then I thought, actually, you guys are talking about it with such passion, I listened to it anyway. And I was like,
Yeah.
you got it.
I'm like that
You
with a
got
lot of
it.
stuff I watch and listen to. Like, not necessarily that I dislike what they're talking about specifically, but because they talk about it with such verve, is that the right word?
Sure.
Like passion and like, oomph. Like they talk about it like they really know what they're talking about. And even if they don't sound like they know what they're talking about, they have enough of a care of it that it just makes it interesting. So yeah, I can
100%.
agree with you there. I can agree. There's actually a movie podcast I listen to that's really, really good. I'll have to recommend it to you.
Sure. What's it called? Are you not going to say?
There's actually two. There's one that's more known and one that's less, but I'll leave it out.
All right. Speaking of Cyberpunk, Jay,
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red have announced
yeah.
another round of layoffs.
Yeah,
Now, I know you're
9%
going to
of their current lot of
company.
people. Yeah.
Around 100
Which is a
people,
lot.
apparently. Yeah. So they did a statement on their website about it. I'm reading it from
Yeah, please,
Eurogamer.
please.
I wanted to quickly just set up, Jay, because I think you'll know more than me because you play Cyberpunk, etc., etc., etc. What I'm confused
Such a
about
good game.
is we went through the 4 or 5 projects that they're working on right now. I said there's too many projects, but that's neither here nor there, really. You're excited by it, blah blah blah.
Well,
Not the point, though. Not the point in terms of. I just want to ask.
yeah, go on.
It doesn't sound like. Okay, Cyberpunk was very profitable. My question is,
Extremely
where
so, yeah.
where have these redundancies come from? If there are so many projects going on, I just want that put out there.
It's a good question. It might refer back to what we were talking about a minute ago about all these diversity officers.
Well,
I doubt
I was
it,
thinking more
but
like
they're not going to get rid
restructures
of
and
100 people. But yeah, I think it's more so maybe that but it's just cutting the fat.
right.
Maybe got rid of some HR people they didn't need.
Sure.
I don't know, hard to say. Like maybe
Sure.
they did what Twitter did and just got rid of the people that they know they don't need. Like, do you know how many people got fired from Twitter when they rejigged everybody?
Was it like
Like
20,000?
hundreds of people.
Oh, okay.
Like there's so many people there who were hired who literally did nothing. They read emails all day.
Sure.
And there's so many jobs like that of people who literally get up, go to work, read emails, and come home. And I'm just thinking, these people make more money than we do, probably combined. And I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
what? And I'm sure that happens in every company, especially a lot of these industry companies. So that's probably that kind of thing.
I guess
Unless there's some sort of game project where they thought maybe we can do this with less people, so let's be
Sure.
more efficient about it. What we do know is that CD Projekt Red are known for doing crunch, so they might be just trying to get away with as much as they can with as minimal people. I mean, it's also the fact prices of electricity and everything is going up, so maybe they're just having to get rid of people so they can afford actually to power the building they're in.
Yeah.
It's all part of that too. It's just the world has fallen to shit and they're having to make do. as best they
Yeah,
can.
could be that.
They're thinking about their business. They're not thinking about the people who are at that business necessarily. They're
It
thinking about
still,
people who are still hired,
mm,
I guess.
it still sounds like a huge company though. So even if they are working on 3 or 4 different projects, it doesn't necessarily concern me because there's so many people working there. You know,
Mm.
it's a bit like Assassin's Creed, where anyone knows any credits in Assassin's Creed is the longest credits you'll ever see. But like, I know that there's, we had Ragnarok in 2020, and then we had 3 DLCs,
Mm.
all 3 of which were pretty sizable. And now we've got Mirage coming out, which was supposed to be a standalone DLC, and it's now become its own game. And we might even get the Japan game next year. And people might be thinking, like, well, how can they possibly put out so much? It's just the people, mate. They
They've made
just
them
throw people
smaller.
at
Yeah, they've
it.
got a lot of people, and they've also made the game smaller as well.
That's true. That's true too.
I think I can't remember what they said. They said that the Mirage is either going to be 30 hours or 40 hours completion.
That sounds almost like an original
Yeah,
sized AC game.
I don't know if you watched the behind the scenes of the Mirage recently. There's like a
I
six
saw a
minute
few.
video of them talking about what they're trying to aim for. They basically said they want to make Assassin's Creed 1 but better essentially.
I'm down.
Yeah, they want to go back to its roots. Is what they were talking about.
I mean, that's what the marketing keeps saying. But I did notice, Jay, there was a mechanic on the presentation where he did teleport and assassinate people.
Yes, which I'm very happy about because that is
We love it.
one of my favorite mechanics in all of Assassin's Creed history.
Yeah.
The projects that CD were working on was Polaris, which was the Witcher game that's coming out, Orion, which was part of the Cyberpunk, and then Hadar, which was the new thing they were doing.
So Orion could be Phantom Liberty, no?
Yeah, Orion is probably Phantom Liberty and something else potentially, but probably just Phantom Liberty. Polaris, I imagine, is a new Witcher game, Witcher 4, whatever it might be.
Would they not? I thought they were doing a Witcher remake as well.
Oh yeah, I think they're doing a remake of 1 as well.
Yeah,
potentially. So they've got a lot going on. But if you've
Mm.
got 1,000 people, what you put 250 people on per project?
It's a lot of
Still a lot of
people in it. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking like 3 years minimum for anything to come out of 250 people, but still.
Mm.
Like I think it's funny. It still amazes me how Pokemon is only like 50 to 100 people. It's like it's genuine. It's a tiny.
I mean,
tiny
I've
team.
seen the graphics, Jay. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, all right. And how
I'm
it's
only
funny.
joking.
I'm playing Pokemon again at the minute, and it's still so stuttery, dude. They've updated
Really?
it so many times, and oh man, it's still it plays awful.
Well, the old
on
ones,
the Switch.
like
No,
X
the new
and stuff.
one, Violet
Oh.
and Scarlet.
Scarlet.
It's still so jittery, and the frames are awful.
I feel like Arceus is going to be seen in better light in the future.
Genuinely, the
years
more I
than
think
those
about
games.
it, Legend of Arceus might actually be the best Pokemon games ever existed. Genuinely, I think it's a 10 out of 10 Pokemon game.
Okay.
Seriously. And it's funny, they did a poll recently, and everyone voted Arceus as being their favorite and their most. If they were ever going to do a sequel for a Pokemon game, everyone was like Arceus. Do another one of those, please.
Oh, cute. I thought Scarlet and Violet were supposed to be more Arceus anyway, though,
No,
in their design.
no, they actually changed it a lot. Again, Pokemon is a lot like Final Fantasy at the minute, where they keep changing it and making it worse. Really annoying. I will say the competitive side of Pokemon is a lot better though, more fun.
Jay, what's going on with this Borderlands film?
Yeah, so again, it's been through development hell. I say development production hell. It's been filmed. I think they actually finished filming about 9-10 months ago, but it's been on the cutting room floor for like those last 9-10 months. Like they've been editing it for 10 months.
And I heard that one of the writers or someone left because basically they were ashamed, like they were embarrassed, and they were just like,
he took his name off of the credits and put in a false name. He didn't want to be associated with the movie.
Yeah, and post production for any film that seems quite long. So what are your thoughts there then?
I'm not optimistic. I'm not looking forward to it. I think most video game productions, they're almost always terrible and they never do them justice.
I am intrigued. I will say I'm intrigued.
I'll watch it. I won't pay for it at the cinema, but I'll watch it.
Sure.
Yeah, it comes out August 9th, 10th, so literally in like the next 2 weeks it comes out. And it will be absolutely drowned out by everything else that's coming out. So
okay. Bear with me 2 seconds, Jay, if that's all right.
Please.
I've got summer 2024, August next year.
Oh.
On the news story.
Am I getting it mixed up?
yeah, you
I must have seen August and been like, oh, it's coming out soon, but now it's next year. Then all right, fair
next year. Yeah.
enough. There we go.
I mean, oh my god, that's gonna be fucking
It's going to be one
interesting.
of those movies that has been done for years, but doesn't come out until years later. Like a lot of movies that have come out recently. It's basically gone through like a COVID production essentially. They're just delaying it and delaying it. I think part of the reason why they're
There's
also
plenty
delaying
of
a lot of movies recently is because of all the strikes, obviously.
there's plenty of talent tied to this film though.
Yeah, Kevin
Jay,
Hart is playing Roland.
Kate
I
Blanchett is
think is Dave
Lilith.
Bautista in it? Is he playing Brick? Or am I wrong?
Can't see it here.
No, I'm pretty no. Might even be
Jack
The
Black's
Rock.
playing Claptrap.
Yeah, I think he's the voice for it. Yeah,
Basically sounds like the Mario movie.
yeah, it's very in that kind of vein.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of big names. A lot of big
Hmm.
names.
My question is, do they head to it because they like the sound of the film, or no? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Alas.
Alas.
Getting towards the end here.
Aye.
Assassin's Creed voice actor has
Yeah,
talked
so
about
this is like
AI.
comes back to almost like the strike thing too, where a lot of people are bringing up the fact that AI might take over a lot of people's jobs in both the movie and video game industry, and we're
Mm-hmm.
already seeing it happen. The most recent Marvel TV show, Secret Invasion, the artwork that was made for the introduction of the TV show was all AI generated, so someone didn't get paid. Like someone's job got taken away because of that title screen for the Secret Invasion. Um,
So people aren't just like shouting about it for no reason. Like it
oh,
is
it's
actually
happening
happening.
already. It's definitely happening. Um, the amount of AI technology that's working towards doing voices for both animated movies and video game characters is now currently in the process of being looked at. I.e., voice actors might become obsolete, which is part of the reason why this voice actress from one of the Assassin's Creed games is pissed off. She's like, "Well, my job's now going to become obsolete." Could be, at least in the next few years.
Interesting.
Um, what else was there? Was there anything else with that? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, it's just that people are worried that voice acting is going to become a non-human job, and potentially a lot of artwork too, depending on. Oh, and also Netflix just spent what was the number? It was a pretty high number on hiring people for AI
So do we
technology.
think, Jay, this will be a case of we need the individuals and humans to battle the
Which
corporations,
is what
even
they're
though they're
currently
run by
doing.
individuals? Right. Okay.
Currently doing it. That's the whole part. That's literally, I'd say, like 25% of the reason why they're striking. 75% is because they're not getting paid enough, and the other 25% is because their jobs may become obsolete due to AI. Even in the music
Interesting.
industry, I don't know if you heard that the Drake songs that got released that was all
No.
AI generated, and they sounded better, if not the same, as any Drake song you've ever heard.
So did Drake release them?
No, just
Oh,
some
okay.
random 17-year-old was like, "Oh, I made these with AI. Here's how good they are." And I'm not joking; they were amazing.
Really?
Like high level production.
Huh.
Like these songs could have made millions had they been released by Drake, but they weren't. They were
How
released by some random
interesting.
17-year-old with a computer who had some AI generated thing. And you're just thinking, like, the amount of stuff we can get away with now is insane. And it's only getting better. Like, I think if you look at the progression of artwork from AI from last year to now, like, it's insane what they're getting away with. I still think we're way behind. I say we. I still think the technology is way behind in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to writing. I don't think writers can yet be taken over by AI, but it's definitely a possibility. And I think even the fact of there being a possibility is good enough reason for these people to strike.
Mm,
100%.
sure.
I agree with them on that,
Sure.
and I also agree with them on their money. They're not getting paid. I mean, they are. Some actors are getting paid enough, but others aren't. And I think it's annoying me that the actors who are definitely getting paid enough are complaining about it as well.
Sure.
But again, the big issue is that like people like Bob Iger, he makes like 300 million a year, and you just think, hey, does he need that much?
Well,
When actors, like I think one of the things that people are complaining about is the actors are getting what is it? They get not resentment, something checks, residual checks, and they're getting like $20 every month or something. You just think, they probably should be getting a bit more than that. And they're getting paid very little for doing a job when they should be getting paid a lot more, that kind of thing. But again, the
well,
way that the industry works is you get paid for how good of an or how big of an actor you are, not how good of an actor you are.
It's a weird
So if your
industry. I
name
think
means something, you make more money. But if your name doesn't mean as much, you get less money.
I think it's a complicated issue. I don't know enough about it really to
It's a lot more
comment.
complicated than just they're not paying you enough. It's a mixture.
But yeah,
It's more of a system problem than an actual anything else.
Jay, that's it for the news. I
Aye.
think. No, no, sorry.
Was there one
One
more?
more. One more. Um, apparently people are crying about Mary Jane's face or something.
Yeah. So there's definitely been an issue with taking the scan of a male person and putting it into a game. They're able to make that person look either identical or sometimes even more handsome than their real life model, face model.
What's wrong with that?
But for some reason,
Oh.
when it goes from female to in game, they're deliberately made to look uglier. And it's becoming a bit of an issue.
What? So there's a bit of a trend here. Are we actually saying that
A
for
big
sure?
one. If you look at the original face model of Mary Jane for the
Yeah.
Spider-Man games,
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Her jowls look from you know what jowls are, right? You know these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in real life, she's very like skinny face, very attractive person, very feminine looking. They made her jowls out like this. She's literally got a square jaw.
I'm gonna have to look
Thing
this
is,
up
though,
now. I mean,
they did the same thing with Aloy, and I brought this up to you about a year ago
for the sequel.
for both, for the original game and for the sequel. They just made her look fatter and uglier.
Oh,
And I know, I mean, I spoke to you about this before. We've spoke about this before, but it keeps cropping up all the time. It goes
Oh,
into the whole censorship issue as well. That everything's being censored as well. So
but look, I don't know what's going on. Could this be though,
I
Jay?
do.
That
I can tell
that's
you.
just how they want. Is that just how they want her to look?
No. So what they've done is, well, what I think that we can't prove this obviously, but it's definitely it's a theory, a going running theory that the people who, at least some people who are making these games, want alongside with censorship in a lot of Western stuff recently, is that they want women to look more realistic, and they don't want all these like standards of these pristine looking women being the standard of how women should look, right? It's like a
Sure.
feminist kind of thing, I imagine. So instead of making them look overly, you know, attractive and unrealistic beauty standards, they made them look more realistic. And in having doing that, they made them look ugly because apparently the women who are working on these games think that real women look more ugly than they do. It's just all about realistic beauty standards, is basically the argument, essentially.
Right.
But for some reason, men are looking not that way. They've made them look more handsome. That's very odd. Double
Mm,
standard.
I mean, yeah, but like how? I feel like it's got to happen a few times before we go. Actually, there's a bit of a trend here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll be
it's happened
honest,
quite
Jay.
a few
I think
times.
she looks hotter in Spider-Man too.
I saw someone did a their own version of what she could have looked like if she had been made to look more attractive or more like the actual face model. And I'm not joking. It literally goes from like square jaw to like properly defined. It's kind of, and they made her nose deliberately bigger as well. It's like really odd.
I kind of like how she looks in two, but I will say, Jay,
I
it
don't.
does
It's
look like a
fucking
completely
awful.
different face in the sequel than it does to the first
Yeah,
game. I
she
will
looks
say
like
that.
she grew an extra jaw. That's what she looks like. Awful. I don't
Very
like it. I don't
strange.
like the trend.
To be
Yes,
fair
so
though,
that's just
Jay,
bringing that
me
up again.
and you and Elle, I think, were all weirded out when they changed the face for Peter Parker anyway.
I genuinely don't think any of the Peter Parkers that I've seen look any good. I don't like the old one. I don't like the new ones. They've changed it again, by the way.
No, no, well they changed it for the update, didn't they?
Yeah. No, they changed. No, they changed it a third time. He looks different in Spider-Man 2.
Are you serious?
Not a lot different, but slightly different.
You can't just keep changing. Imagine if in the next God of War game, Kratos just looks fucking completely different. Like,
That's different. Peter Parker's been fairly ambiguous of a white guy anyway. He's looked different multiple times.
pretty flat for
I
a
feel
while.
like
But
Peter Parker's a little bit like Bond in that he's the same guy, but he just looks like different each time.
but why? But why? Why are they changing faces?
I don't know.
All
Originally it was to
around
make it look more
me,
like
I
Tom Holland, wasn't it?
feel your face. Yeah,
He
I
did
mean,
look a bit odd in the beginning, in the first one.
I got
He
used
looked
to
really
it though, and then
bug-eyed
they
and odd.
changed it. But I got
I think
used
they
to
all
it.
look awful.
All
They
right,
all look
fair enough.
really weird.
So Jay,
But that
wrapping
again
that up in
proves
a
my point
nice
as to
way.
making him look more handsome. The male ones
Sure.
look more handsome. The arguments come up again because of Mortal Kombat as well. There's a couple of characters in Mortal Kombat. All the male characters look like deliberately more handsome, but a lot of the female ones look deliberately uglier. It's really odd.
But Jay, that's because we've had years of females looking fantastic in the fighting
I
game
know, we've had it
community. Do
too
you know what
good.
I mean?
We've had it
You
way
know what
too
I
good.
mean?
The one thing I will say is though that
We've
Street
had
Fighter is
triple
the only
Gs.
one. Street Fighter 6 is the only fighting game in recent history that has made their deliberately know what their audience want and has made their female characters extremely attractive. Cammy, you can still wear Cammy's old outfit, and fuck me, is they good. And Jury's still got her feet out, and that looks great.
Oh god.
Just saying, they know what their audience want. They know what their audience is looking for.
Fair enough.
But for some reason, Mortal Kombat are answering to those ESG scores. They don't give a shit about anything else. Clearly,
Jay, before we wrap up,
please.
would you like to do a guest who's review?
If I had one,
Alas, we're bottom of the barrel.
yeah.
Maybe next time.
Maybe
Is there anything
I'll
else you'd like to
prepare
talk
a little
about for
bit
this
better
show
next
at all?
So what day is this? So it's currently end of July. So I'm not sure when these games like Lies of. I mean, hopefully by the next time we do a podcast, Lies of P will have come out. I do want to try and play that. It looks.
Mhm.
I've deliberately not played the demo because I want to like go into it a bit less prepared.
Okay,
I don't know. I kind of want to give it like a good shot at least.
sure.
Diablo 4. I haven't touched on it all this. They've updated it so much so that I'm kind of just a bit bummed out about playing it now.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! We're glossing that over, Jay. Hold the phone.
Yeah, I know.
You go in Diablo 4. You go, Nick. This game's amazing. It's everything
Well,
we want
I've
from
spent like
Diablo 3.
130 hours on it already.
But I know
decent
you.
amount
You
of
love
time.
endgame shit. You love
I
grinding for
do.
that
I
gear and
do.
shit like that.
But
So
it's
what's
all a bit.
crack? What's going on?
Blizzard did their usual thing of just trying to. I don't know. Too many cooks, I guess. I don't know. Hard to say.
What is it about the new season that that you didn't like? Because this is season 1, so just started supporting the game from a season perspective.
Yeah.
You've obviously played
I don't know.
the main campaign. You've played the end game stuff. So you know.
Yeah, I need to miss it to play it again. I need to have not played it for a while to come back to it and enjoy it again. I've already like you know me. My limit is roughly 110, 120 hours. Anything
Sure.
more than that, I start to get a bit burned out. So I just need to give it a bit of a break.
Again,
I'm sure I'll come back though.
I'll be honest, Jay. This does come back to my my original point around, you know, I just can't see how anyone in the world, apart from a 13-year-old with billions of hours of time on their hands, would sink that much time in one game.
Well, the only people I know who put that amount of time in are streamers and content creators whose job it is to do so.
Right. Right.
And then I guess other people who don't like playing anything else but ARPGs. I will say, Path of Exile 2 have been doing a lot of their updates on their game coming out, and it looks insane. And it's free to play. So I'm tempted to play that when it comes out as well.
Fair.
Like the amount of I'm not joking when I say this. Every bit of feedback that's ever been told for PoE 1 has been taken and given and improved upon. Like they've done like multiple streams over the last couple of months and been like here's all the feedback we took. We want to now list off all the things we did to fix it.
Rate
and
that.
It's a free to play game, dude.
No, I rate that.
I can't wait. Oh, and Baldur's Gate 3 looks pretty good too. There was that was a news story I want to talk about really quick. Baldur's Gate 3, they released an article on somewhere saying about how devs did like other devs that weren't to do with Baldur's Gate 3 were saying, look, don't look at Baldur's Gate 3 as to being the new standard of games. Like, not all games are going to be that long and that in depth. This is like a one-off that the Baldur's Gate team spent so many years doing. But the funny thing is, a lot of the game community went, hang on, this is kind of what we actually expected games to be. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 actually might sound like the first video game where I'm like, hang on, this is kind of what I think a lot of people have been expecting out of the last couple of like games that have come out. Like this level of in-depth and graphical and story and stuff to do in a game.
Well, I guess we'll find out, right, when it comes out.
Yeah, I guess we will. Baldur's Gate, it looks good, but I don't think I'd pay for it.
I hear you.
Yeah, it looks promising though.
I think it's turn-based. So yeah, but
who knows? I think
my dad
will probably be playing it eventually because he's a massive Baldur's Gate fan.
So it's the dream for him, basically, right?
Probably. He's been playing 16 as well, by the way, just very very slowly.
How's he finding
I think
it?
he's got a better opinion of it than I do. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
How
I'll have
interesting.
to let you know when he's finished it. See what he says. See what he thinks.
Sure.
He agreed with
Um,
me about the Game of Thrones thing as well. I think he's like, yeah, it's
fair.
just Game of Thrones. It's okay.
Is Baldur's Gate 3 coming to consoles as well? Baldur's Gate 3.
I think so.
Fair.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the year, we've got Mirage, Spider-Man 2. Is that pretty much it? And
Starfield.
Starfield.
And for me, I guess I've got Liza P and Texas Chainsaw. Oh, I played Exo Primal for a bit as well. That was pretty fun.
How was it?
Got to mention that. It's actually pretty decent. It's better than I thought it was. Went in super low rotations, came out sort of above average.
Fair. Fair.
Actually pretty fun. And the Battle Pass system was actually pretty decent.
Is there anything else that you played like on and off, like on Xbox or anything? Like, because I feel like I look at your achievements, I'm like, oh, Jay's played that, and then I forget to ask you about it.
No, not recently.
Okay.
Like I say, the only thing I'm doing at the minute is just sort of going back and forth between movies, TV shows, manga, and Pokemon.
Fair.
That's sort of my main things, and I'm constantly on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter, and
You
I
mean
will always
X?
be calling. No, I'll always be calling it Twitter. X is a
Yeah.
stupid name. It's
I
really
wonder
dumb.
if people will just keep calling it Twitter.
They probably for at least for the next year they probably will be. Can almost guarantee.
E3.
It's been Twitter for
E3.
like 16 years. Like, how is it not
It's a
going to be
long
called that
time.
for the rest of like people?
As
Dumb.
if Twitter's been around for that long. Can't believe that.
Yeah, 2008 ish,
Ugh.
2009.
I
Maybe.
find it so interesting that Twitter seems to have lasted longer than a lot of the other social media platforms, which is really weird to me.
It's just fairly consistent. I think consistency is key,
Mm.
which is I
Mm.
think why Assassin's Creed has done so well for so long. It's been pretty consistent,
As has Final Fantasy.
fairly.
Thank you for your time, Jay.
Yeah, I hope I have a decent amount
We'll
of talk.
see
I
you all
really
next
want to talk
time.
about Lies and Texas Chainsaw next time we talk, hopefully.
All right. Well, fingers
And
crossed.
then there's going to be a big one for Starfield.
Oh. Jay, look, let's just set the expectations now, guys. It's going to be like a month after it comes out because I'm not rushing that. I am not rushing that
No,
game.
I was going to say, we're probably going to be speaking about Starfield until start of next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
And the Christmas break.
every episode is going to have like the Starfield section.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to, because you're not playing it day one. Oh, you are. It's Game Pass, so you must be.
Yeah, I am, but I can't decide whether I should pay for it to get it early.
Oh, I mean, it's 30 quid. It's not too bad, right?
Are you sure it's not like 70?
30 quid for the upgrade, which basically means you get all the special stuff and play it early, but you don't own the game.
For sure, Jay.
Yep, I googled it.
In that case, it's definitely going to happen.
September
I'm
1st, here we
definitely
come.
doing that. Let's do
Literally
it.
about a month. We're a little under a month away. So
Oh
we
God,
are a
don't say
month and
that.
2
Fucking
days.
hell.
We're like 33 days away from playing it, roughly.
Dude, I got some other stuff to finish before then. Good grief.
Yeah, dude, get it done.
Ooh.
Get her done.
Get her done. In that case, we should try and think of a clever name for the Starfield section because that'd be cool. Like Starfield Logs, 2023.
Captain's Log. Yeah, something like that.
Captain's Log. All right, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
And we'll see you next time with a movie podcast.
Yeah, we'll let you know what films we've seen in cinema, give our ratings, reviews.
Yeah. Cool.
And make sure you always buy sweet popcorn, not salt, you crazy sons of bitches.
No, salt. Are you joking?
Bye, guys.
Bye.